Gonna try that one again. Welcome back to the Talon Cup. We have Overwatch here for you. The whole of today, the whole of tomorrow, all here with random teams made from different signups, either solos or duos, SR balanced, and here to have a good time. And having a good time next to me, Sun. Hi, welcome again.
Thank you. Nice to be here again for the third or fourth time now. We're having some technical difficulties in the background here, but fingers crossed it will not affect our showing of the actual gameplay itself. And speaking of gameplay, Altruism, we've got two teams here. One we're very familiar with in the form of Team 1, and one we're a little bit less familiar with. Our first look at Tank, T3NK. Any guesses to what that stands for? Let us know in the chat if it is an acronym, but I presume it's just Top 3 and Kurigari. There we go. So that gives you some insight into who's playing here, Altruism.
Wow, I want to be I don't want to be the last person, the fifth person.
Who's not named here?
Didn't even get named right there. But when you look at the names, there are some big names that come from there. So let's start with Team 1. I mean, we just got to see them in a fantastic. There we go, Team 1, fantastic performance. I mean, they played against stock starters and they just dominated from start to finish. Salmon a great front line, Raven diving in constantly as Genji, Blaine hitting the shots, Coconuts keeping everyone alive, and Mushi just dodging every bullet in the entire game. Right, so just a quick reminder if you missed game number 3.
Yeah, very, very solid team. What I think Altruism can agree, looks like the strongest of the teams we've seen so far.
Yeah.
They definitely look like they are the team to beat here at the Talon Cup 2025.
Very fair, very fair. So looking forward to that. They've taken out everyone that they needed to. On the other hand, now we go across to T3NK, and lots of names there. Cheetos was on the stream earlier, got to meet him. Solaris, Apricornicus, Pokemon Kuriga. I don't think there's anyone there whose name I don't know now.
Yeah, these are all players with competitive experience. Of course, Cheetos and Pokemoli were playing in the Ethereal Crown. I don't believe Pokemoli was at the venue or even played many games for Vanquish, but Cheetah's a part of that squad that ran through towards the finale. Solaris, Apricornicus, two players will be very familiar with as well. Apricornicus, a real top level player, normally a support player, it has to be said. I have memories of him popping off on the Baptiste, but this time he'll be in on the tank, so I'm interested to see what he can do on that role. Most top level players can play most roles at near top level, so I presume Altruism, he's one of the top 3. Who's the other top 2 of the top 3, and who's the odd one out? I guess it's hard to say. Oh, top 3 teams, not top 3 players from the LAN. Okay. I get it.
So much more obvious and more inclusive.
Kurigari is actually the on one out. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's very inclusive. Everyone here is important except for Kurigari. That's a bold statement to make when Kurigari is sitting in here. I love to see it. Obviously very proficient support. So it's very much just a joke between the team. The fact that we have of those players, of the 5 players there, 4 of them were in our top 3. That's big already.
Yeah. It's a bit of a team battle, right? With the Vanquish boys going up against Salmon. I'm sure they've stood behind Salmon many a time, watched him and helped him pop off on the front line. But this time they're going to be hoping to put a stop for him. So maybe Altruism, maybe this is the perfect team to pop the Team 1 bubble here, because Salmon and the rest of the Team 1 crew have been absolutely dominant.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. This is all Team 1 needs to finish top of their group and finish 3-0 for the day. It'll be everything that they want to, but you know, when you've got the people who were behind you now on the other side, they tend to know your weaknesses a little bit better. They know when and why you die, so it could be something that could be exploited. As with normal Overwatch, it is a first to 3. So first to 3 of our different maps. We have a whole selection of you. We start with Control Point. As always, Ilios has been quite favored today, although we did get to see Antarctic Peninsula first. No one heading through to the Oasis just yet. So, and then otherwise, pretty much maps from everywhere. Circuit Royale making a weird amount of appearances today.
I mean, I like the map, the way it looks and feels, Circuit Royale. I don't know that I always like how it plays, but teams seem to be really favoring it at the moment. And I think with no Kings Row in King's Row hybrid anyway. So yeah, it is odd that Sigurd is getting so much play. I guess just preferred over Watchpoint and Dorado, but that in itself is quite surprising. We do know our first map here. It is going to be Antarctic Peninsula. We've already seen it once today. Teams tend to be favoring this over Oasis again. That's very surprising to me, because I feel like Oasis is quite a popular map and one of the maps that's been in Overwatch for quite a while now. But teams quite like this map to start off with in the Talon Cup so far.
Certainly an interesting one. It's not my favorite of the control point maps, and I can't put my finger on why. You know, the points are really nicely contestable from both sides. High ground is always a feature, but yeah, some narrow corridors and some big sidelines could be very interesting. Certainly lots of space for Mushi to fly around constantly, and lots of place for brawls to take place if that's how Apricornicus wants to head up against Salmon in that tank battle. I think that's going to be a very important part of how this and how well the supports from tank can survive under the pressure of someone like Raven.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a key matchup, that tank versus tank, if they choose to play it that way. We kind of spent a lot of time talking about Terran Lord and how his approach was to not take the tank battle, try and crack Salmon by making sure he wasn't getting the support that he needed. But it felt like Terran just didn't really have the backup to really affect that plan in a way that led them to victory. However, Apricornicus seems to be leaning on the Mauga. Now, that's obviously a hero that's going to be frontlining very, very extensively. He's going to try and punch Salmon down. I'm not actually that sure how the Mauga versus Junker Queen matchup is supposed to play out, but it is going to be Apricornicus instead on the Zarya, and then otherwise blamed again on the Cass. Once again, Raven, look to punish or to pressure the backline on the Genji, and on the other side it's going to be a Sombra from Cheetos, Kurigari on the Ana, and Solaris on the very, very popular Sojin.
Would certainly go for a more stable lineup against the big quick brawl of Team 1, and Team 1, they're the ones in a dire situation right now. They've already lost Blaine, and the Junker Queen is very deep now. It does manage to get out there, got some supports zipping around from both sides. Still a pretty even fight. Pokemoli does manage to take out Coconut. So glad these colors are so close together so I can see everything. But
it's a bit rough.
Team 1 at least does get the capture.
It's looking good for Team 1. Although, as I say, that tank picking up a few kills and will in fact get control on the point once again. Solaris taking the duel against Blade and winning. Not something we've seen a lot when playing up against Team 1, but impressive start from Tank here. We'll have to see whether they can maintain this momentum as the match continues.
Salmon's certainly got enough fans in the chat right now, and even on the other team, it seems everyone going with Salmon as the GOAT. And living up to it so far right now, has managed to secure his own team a little bit of space, got some percentage picking up there. Ults to talk around, but not afraid to take the fight on the high ground. There is a double kill. Raven and Mushi get cleaned out of the air, one of them by the chasing Sombra, and I think the other one was a bit of a good shot. Blaine gets turned down, and so Tank not afraid to put some fight in themselves.
Apricornicus is doing an incredible job of making sure Salmon's not getting value out of his abilities. He was only up to 70-something% on his ultimate before he's now switched to mirror Apricornicus on the Zarya. But Apricornicus, he's got the Graviton Surge already ready to go. So this could be an easy teamfight win, comboed with the Nano, or maybe not even comboed with anything at all. It could just buy a free teamfight win with the Graviton Surge.
So rarely do we see this mirror of Zaryas. It's a fascinating one to see coming out now, and both teams, that means they've given them a lot of space. Here comes a Graviton Surge. There's a lot on top of it. Yeah, Kitsune Rush thrown in as well. Solaris picking up 2 as a result of that, and they will eventually claim out of the sand, and Solaris going to go even more aggressive, try to clean out whatever he can. There's a lot of support behind there, so Solaris needs to be careful, but support comes through and over the shoulder, and they do win that out. They can push their opponents back, and with 90% already, it's going to be hard for anyone to even get to the point.
Big EMP over the top. They popped the railgun as well on Solar, so they're putting out a ton of damage. No kills just yet, but the nano boost onto the Sojourn as well. Salmon, though, finds a couple of kills alongside Blade on the backline. Solaris fires back on point. They're getting spread very thin, and it's giving space for Solaris to find the picks. Mushi down, Raven down, but Salmon, he's a monster on the point. High charge, high damage, and he's going to secure the point for his team now. So, backs against the wall, but Team 1 come out on top when it matters.
Interesting there that Tank decided to throw those ultimates so early. They put out the railgun to try stop the Mercy, and I think it was Blaine moving across in the open. Couldn't get anything out there, so you don't have that in hand. And then you pop out the... what was the second one that they dropped very early into it? Yeah, and the other side now, you're worried. Tank, they have to survive through this, but they're doing pretty well so far. Cheeto's the only casualty of blading Raven, but the rest of Team 1, this is what they do. They play well together. Even if you draw all your attention onto one person, they're going to be looking for the rest.
Yeah, and that was just off the back of a very, very nice Graviton Surge there. They kind of just won that team fight. That's what you'd want to see from what is probably one of the best ultimates in the game. They've got the overcharge now on Blaine. He's ready to go here. Solaris has been very, very good on the Sojourn. That's kind of been a difference between these two teams in the last ones. But here's the overcharge. We'll look to find some picks early.
Couple of bubbles, too many there. A couple of shots that weren't hit. He gets sliced down at the end of a Blaine. Actually, the first to fall is you see some Skyward Zarya Salmon again. So good at playing around corners. Cheetos though gets into a nice position, takes down at least most of the Mercy. Actually is confirmed by Solaris at the end of that. That's a massive pick, and they're going to lose their second support as well. On top of this, Tank is just running over this. You got up to your 90%, but that's going to be all you manage to claim right now.
Yeah, really, really solid play from Tank there. Mushi, so unlucky, flying towards the enemy backline, trying to, throw some confusion, sow some confusion, but unfortunately got hacked just as they popped next to the enemy DPS, so it was kind of just a free kill. So great work from Cheetos there on the Sombra. Great work from Tank, it has to be said. We talked up Team 1 in such a big way, and also I wonder how much of this is Solaris and Pokey saying Salmon does not want to play against Zarya when he's on the when he's on the Junker Queen, right? He doesn't like that matchup, and you can excel Apricornicus if you can do well with the hero, because that was the difference here. They kind of forced Salmon to play at Tank's pace, and the response was too late. The advantage is already in the favor of Tank in terms of ult economy, in terms of control on the point. So no changes here for Tank. That's not surprising. Solaris just using the TP to help his team get a bit better positioning. On the other side, though, Salmon and Blaine, they've switched up now. It's going to be aggression from them. Salmon on the Ramatra. We've seen what he can do on this hero.
Yep, he's going to be running at your face now. It's going to be much harder for Zarya to get the most out of these bubbles if you're just using them to get out. And you can see the aggressive posturing already there. All the resources being dumped in here again. That Mercy Blaine manages to get up a really nice kill. Now can come in, start applying that DPS passive, claiming these last kills of people running desperately for the hills. Doesn't manage to get anything, but in and out, that's what you want. You just want to move around your tank, and Salmon continues the aggression. Raven on the smallest amount of HP, normally so good at getting out of those, but the damage has been done. Team 1 take possession.
Really, really solid play. You can see the resources that had to get pumped into Apricornicus to keep him alive. It kind of left the DPS isolated there. Cheetos ended up losing that trade on the Sombra against the Tracer, and he's decided he's not going to bother with that now. Pokemoli, though, gets rid of Blaine.
Blaine is a big pick at the beginning of this. That was a lot of the confirmation that they needed to, so the rest of the team can slow play this now. They've got to worry about Salmon's ult, so Salmon going to be very aggressive constantly through this fight, and there goes the ult. The Annihilation immediately comes out, takes down Kirigari. Pokemoli falls shortly after, and this whole team just decide to walk on that. It cost them a single ult. They get the percentages.
Apricornicus is struggling to build charge a little bit here. Yeah. That's part of the problem. We've seen him behind the enemy ram, which would be fine if you had 50, 60, 100 charge, but he's operating at like 30% charge. So Tank, Team 1 is doing a very good job of not feeding him that charge, and it means he's not able to offer the same threat that he did on the first point. So we have to wait and see whether they can close in on point here. They're closing in on a couple of alties now, the overcharge, the Graviton Surge. Tank, they might try and win this one out with the neutral fight.
Oh, nice bit of aggression thrown out there, realizing the bubbles were down, the Maywall was out. They keep going forwards, they're pushing in. Blaine, I don't know how you keep track during these small corridor fights, but tracking is what he does very well. Manages to claim up another one. Desperate last attempts as the sliding Sojourn finds the icy waters below. The rest of the team not doing too much better, unfortunately, on the point. It's just going to stand on the side. A wave. This team one is pretty confident.
Yeah, they are very confident. They got every right to be. They need to get to point here, 93%. Can anyone make their way over? We see the Zarya looking to get there, but she's got stubby little legs. I don't know that she's going to get there. 99 just barely gets the touch. She's lost all her teammates, but they've got a couple of ultis to work with here. Overcharge already going. Graviton Surge at the ready, but she's got no friends, no charge, and no hope of winning this point.
You get a 5-man grab and you still don't have anyone to shoot at it, unfortunately. There's only so much you could do, and like you say, Apricornicus just... The Zarya is a feast of famine kind of character, and considering they're playing against opponents who are obviously well versed in the game, they know a little bit better than hit the Zarya bubbles, and so Apricornicus rendered somewhat impotent in these fights. Salmon, on the other hand, he's still doing salmon things, swimming upriver, picking a fight with a bear.
Yeah, picking up fight, nice. It's difficult. There are no easy ways to get charges as Zarya. There's no Junkrat Pharah. There's nobody who's going to just be eyes closed firing downrange that you can feed charge off of. So you are relying on the enemy team to pump damage into the bubble on purpose, not by accident, and it's not working out for them at the moment. He is now going to switch back onto that Mauga, or onto the Mauga for the first time. He clearly wants to play the hero, but he hasn't found the opportunity just yet. We're going to have to wait and see whether this is the panacea for the problem that Salmon presents.
Well, I've seen Apricornicus a lot on Mauga. You know, it's a character that in other situations I've gone, I don't know if that's the right pick, but Apricornicus is very comfortable on this character and can certainly put up a really nice fight consistently. With that reliable damage, it's like, now I don't need to rely on you getting it wrong. I'm just going to stand up in your face and apparently put every bullet into a Ramattra who doesn't care at all. Salmon goes aggressive, but behind the Mauga is not a place to be as they pick up the kills there and now look to just clean out the fights.
Yeah, you see, that's what we were kind of talking about before with Salmon. He had both healers pocketing him there in that moment, and that meant the Tracer of Solaris was just able to do whatever they wanted in the enemy backline, ends up taking out both supports, and when the supports goes down, Salmon is soon to follow. So he's going to switch back now onto the Chunker Queen. Clearly, he doesn't like the matchup against Zarya, but feels confident against the Mauga, so we'll have to wait and see whether he's vindicated in that belief. And at the moment, Tank in control here. They kind of lost that last round in dominant fashion. It's easy to forget that they won the first round relatively comfortably here. So killed himself on the reflect.
Raven just always in that position, being a nuisance. Junker Queen actually going very low.
Anti-heal?
Anti-healed up, so won't be able to be saved by the teammates, and that's a great kill to start it off. Solaris pays a little bit the back line of Team 1 just getting tired right now. I'll go also anti-healed up and on the sliver of HP, but back into the fray so quickly. I believe that they were anti-healed.
I was just about how could you possibly know that altruism with these colors? But Apricornicus, this is working for them so far. He's able to hold his own. He's able to put pressure on Salmon, and with the distraction in the background from Solaris, who is coming up to the pulse bomb now, it's been very, very effective in blunting this Team 1 attack.
Track now still controlled by this dominant Mauga on the higher ground. Really nice. Kitsune rush to just supercharge everyone as their opponents come in there.
Wow.
Solaris decides to pop a pulse bomb, but there was no walking into a tank like that.
They might be in trouble here, Altruism. They need to get through onto point, and they've got Cage on the side of Apricornicus and the rest of Tank. So Team 1 might not be able to get the touch here. They might be stopped in their tracks here by the Cage fight. They're so spread out, though. Wow.
At this stage, you can see Team 1's trying to figure out just what the path to the point looks like, and they got one. Raven decides to dive in deeply. Does pay with their life. The Cage on the other side proves to be too much for Apricornicus.
And the Bob.
The Bob comes out, but at the end of the day, the fight off point, Academic, as Tank pick up the game victory.
Wow, color me surprised. Altruism, I think we'd all painted Team 1 with the domination brush, but unfortunately for them, Tank is coming out on top. They're looking so strong. Good decision making. Their plans came together very well, and that was in putting the pressure on Salmon, forcing a lot of resources to be pumped into him to keep him alive, and allowing Solaris to ply his trade in the enemy backline on that Tracer. So there you go. If you're looking at this team and thinking, wow, they're totally unbeatable, we've got some idea of how you can pierce that armor of theirs. And we'll have to wait and see now. The ball is in Team 1's court. How did they respond? But I think Altruism, it was very, very close, that match, obviously. I think had they been able to work them on to the point, there was every chance they could have won that team fight and extended that match just a little bit, that first map just a little bit longer. But unfortunately for them, heads up play with the cage fight kept them at bay.
Yeah, it was well played, and even realizing something like that's going to come out, Raven moving around the outside, there's an awareness here that these teams have, and I don't know if it's individual leadership and the good calls that are being made, or if everyone just has a really good game sense of what they need to be doing. So certainly a fight of the back lines is what it seems like it's going to be right now. Who can stay alive? Who can endure that little peppering hazard? I mean, both sides had it. We had a Tracer, we had a Sombra. All of these people are someone that's taking attention away from your tank, and Salmon just did not get it there. You mentioned that it was a close game. It was, but not at any one particular point. It always seemed like there was a team, and especially coming out at that 2-1 victory, where the deficits and percentages were pretty high.
Yeah, it's true. It felt like, I guess it felt close because it was domination.
Yeah.
So different teams dominating at different times. And in that way, it tells us that both teams are able to win this match quite comfortably. It's just depending on how you execute in a particular situation. And I think what stood out for me was that very, very first team fight. Coming out on the Zarya was such a key call on the side of Tank. It completely blunted the attack from Salmon. It meant you couldn't get value out of his abilities, and that's what Junker Queen really thrives on. Yet she's got that shotgun that does so much damage, but she needs to be using the axe and the knife to keep her HP up. And if you can't do that, you're going to struggle on that hero, and that's what the Zarya was able to do. On top of that, I mean, Aprikonicus was able to build up charge and output a ton of damage. Then you look at the second map, back in favor of Team 1, struggling with the Zarya to find value against the Ram, against the Tracer, not really able to build up the charge, and in that way not able to offer any threat. Then on the third map, the Mauga, untouchable, putting so much pressure on Salmon and allowing the backline to wreak havoc, or allowing Solaris rather to wreak havoc in the enemy backline. And credit has to be given to him as well. He looked excellent on the Sojourn on the first point, looked excellent on the Tracer in the subsequent points as well. So this is a good squad, this Tank squad.
It's a very good squad in terms of like a competitive experience, probably the best one. We move on to our second map, and probably no surprise to you guys, a Circuit Royale finding its way back in here. So a much harder job of getting to that backline though.
It's a paradigm shift here compositionally, Altruism, I think it's safe to say. We're expecting a lot more pokey compositions hiding behind a Sigma. But that said, there's an opportunity for some steamrolly brawl here if Salmon and Co feel the need to do that on Team 1, if they get forced into that. But we know Salmon is very, very competent on that Sigma. We saw it in the last match against Tok Starters, so he's very comfortable playing that way as well. But we'll have to wait and see what Aprikonicus has in his bag of tricks. So far, very, very impressed with him, given that I know him as a support main. But as I said, top level players can play most roles at a top level.
Big question is whether you can play that into a person who specializes in the tank, like like Salmon, and yet he's done perfectly well. That adaptation that you talked about. This doesn't surprise me in terms of Salmon bringing out the Ramacha. We did actually see that in the previous game, and again, it kind of offers that dual sides to it, depending on what form you're in. Is you can block off the long range poke damage. You can get up a nice, more static shield, but a reliable one that you can kind of cycle more often. And then you can actually just use that to get some space, move forwards, and get the fists involved. But otherwise, pretty consistent lineups for both of these sides.
Yeah, this is not Nothing here you're looking and go, oh my god, that's crazy. Looking at Blaine though, right? How is Cheetos going to fare this time against when compared to Kama in the last round? And more importantly, more broadly, how is the backline going to fare with having Raven constantly pressuring him? That's really going to be the key here, as much as Cheetos hitting his shot on the Widowmaker.
Oh, I'm excited to see this. We saw Blaine as kind of like, we started to get things up. And a sleep dart on Blaine just around the corner. So going to be able to stay alive from that. But being dipped by a Widow is not the same as by an Anno. Cheetah's still going to come off the worst here. Hasn't managed to find a pick just yet. Though lots of pressure being placed here. Kuragari having to do so much work. So hits the second sleep. And apparently this top three and Kuragari's got a name to earn for himself.
We haven't mentioned him much at all, and that's kind of the pain of being a support player. But he's known for his Widowmaker in his own right. That's probably his most iconic hero. So to see him here on applying his trade, landing the sleeps on the enemy worker, probably wishing that he could don the Widow's kiss and assert himself. But it's going to be Raven this time who puts Cheeto in this place.
Oh, Cheetos and Blaines did line up for that duel, and they both ducked away at the last second. So it was that body shot that turns into the capabilities. That's the thing about how Raven's playing. It's just look how close to the tank, just constantly tuck into the side so I don't be the main focus of attention. But until I want to be, until I actually find a spot, and the sight's set way beyond the opponent tank. Because right now, tank, they realize they've got to push the payload though, right?
They're trying, Altruism. Come on, be nice. There's a big fat Ramatra in the way, and Salmon has been doing a good job of knowing his limits. But here we go, big fight unfolding here. Tree of Life to start things off, but Kurigari opens up with a kill in the enemy support.
Big thing for Salmon though, wants to get so aggressive here, but it's down a support already, and they're going to lose their life. It's just not that sustain, and the Juno can't follow you. On the other hand, Team 1, even with that tree, they couldn't sustain through it.
Yeah, Salmon kind of moving into that side room. The May did an excellent job making sure the healers couldn't comfortably keep on top of Salmon, and we've seen that already in this map. If you can prevent Salmon from getting the resources he needs to be effective, he struggles to be effective, which, I mean, obviously that makes sense, but it's really hard to execute on that when you're being pressured by Raven and you've got quality supports like Coconuts and Mushi that you're trying to take down.
Well, Team 1 has managed to stabilize it soon enough to be able to come back in there. And so while Blaine picks up one, there's a Blade over the top. 7 wants to get involved in the action as one. Apricornic is so low on HP, does relate themselves to the last in the fight. But Payload gets almost to the end of point number 1, and they're going to have to do all that work again.
This is kind of compositionally a good counterplay here, right? You, instead of trying to match them poke for poke, instead you're trying to just burst through and punish them as they look to put out long range damage. And once you're at this point in the map, you can do that, right? The long sight range is not that great round this corner. This angle is very, very hard to get to as an attacking Widowmaker. And the defending Widowmaker, the headshot Solaris, he's taken out immediately. Blaine, he's feeling himself here as he looks to find a couple of more kills.
Oh, dodges the counter Widow shot, but yeah, that long sight line that you talked about, it works so well for the defense, because they can just poke around the corner and get anyone trying to make their distance up there. And I mean, Apricornicus barely gets out there as a single kill really defining that entire fight.
Cheetos gets his own back, and now we've got the ball in the mix here. Apricornicus has had enough of poking and prodding from long range, and he wants to get involved here with the ball on the brawl, but they've got the orbital ray altruism, and it's keeping everybody alive.
It's huge. It's effectively a transcendence, but with the added benefit of the damage boost. Now you got a Valkyrie over the top giving you another damage boost. There's people who could just explode here, but Coconuts is the one that goes down. Eventually, that orbital ray had to go out. Ray's going to be able to bring Coconuts back into the fight. This Damon's still looking nice and healthy. Wants to get up close and personal. Yeah, the May has used the ice block already, so this is a difficult situation. Apricornicus now also not sure where to turn their attention as Solaris 7 HP. Overtime ticks down, and another full hold this time. Team 1, they do this.
Yeah, just excellent reading of the game state, reading of where the map is, and reading what your strengths are and how you can emphasize them. Salmon recognizing that at that point, once you've been pushed past this first corner, you are the one with the long sightlines now. You can control the corner in front of point, and you can do that very, very effectively with a more brawly composition. And in doing so, you can make space for Blaine to find shots as well. And once again, we see it, Raven putting pressure on the enemy backline, putting pressure on the enemy Widowmaker, and the duel. Blaine, he's adept at the Widowmaker, but he's being handed these opportunities to find shots, and he's grabbing them with both hands.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love about the Ramatra, actually, is especially on that corner. When I'm in Nemesis form, you're not walking around the corner. I can keep you back as long as they need. If I'm not in Nemesis form, I'll poke around, I drop a little shield, gives Blaine something to work with. You guys push up to my shield, that's fine. I'm going back around the corner until I got arms again. And right now, Tank, we've said this game has been dominant one way or another, and it seems like Tank is currently on the receiving end, being a game up.
Yeah, they definitely feel like their backs are against the wall here on Circuit Royale. This is an odd composition as well. It is a very, very chaotic, loose composition, I think is how you'd put it. You're relying on a lot of players to pop off in a big way, just kind of checking for an Echo or a Pharah peeking over the top there. Not going to find anything on this occasion. No Widowmaker on the side of Tank either, so they kind of just want to get involved and start crunching them down with an aggressive dive.
Yeah, this is the aggressive dive that you're talking about, the ball to keep moving back and forth, but every time the ball takes a look at the payload as it rolls on by, there's another teammate that's dead, and eventually Solaris does find one. Blaine does a big pick out here, but Team 1 is fighting very far forward. They are content to stop this payload for every meter.
Maybe this is a genius play from Tank. You know, foment this chaos. Instead of trying to have a nice controlled play that Salmon and the rest of Team 1 know exactly how to operate around, throw some chaos in the mix here. A ball in your backline, a tracer popping off, the occasional sleep coming through as well. Maybe this is how you deal with Team 1's really, really well put together brawly style.
Yeah, and I mean, right now Salmon needs the support to be on him, and they're being peppered like this. Solaris eventually finds Mushi, decides to use all 3 blinks to try and get something else out of it, but I mean, really, it was this chaos. Apricornicus is drawing all the attention, and the rest of the lobby is starting to find picks as a result.
Yeah, and this is the difference between what we saw previously from Tok Starters versus what we see now from Tank. Apricornicus can make this space, and his team is using it so effectively. Solaris has been excellent on this Tracer, up to the Pulse Bomb now, ready to pop that on some squishy supports in the background there, like that Echo we saw, I mean the Juno we saw for just a moment there. And Salmon, you can see he's got no room, he's got nothing to work with. All the targets he wants to kill are far away from him, and he can't brawl the tank, who can be in and out in a moment's notice.
Yeah, I said that this was going to be a map where it was much harder to reach your opponent's backline, and showing that right now. Someone who's doing it well, though, is Apricornicus. The mobility of the ball give you that option. Eagle Ray's coming in the backline, but you've abandoned your team for too long. They're losing HP here is Team 1, and right there, you combine all the ultimates you need, Tank, to try and hold on to this, but you do.
They threw Orbital Ray, and they threw Salmon's ultimate in the Rampage as well. So an expensive teamfight Valk as well from Team 1 to get nothing out of it. They've got the Genji Blade now, should they choose to commit it here, and they'll have to do it eventually. Just a minute and a half left on the clock here. Decent amount of time to try and get in here, but the pressure is building, and so far so good for Tank.
Yeah, Tanks is playing this keep away game. Solaris is there to cause havoc for the Mercy. I mean, we managed to take her out right now. Apricornicus in and out, takes on these little fights, and the two of them are playing so well around each other, with the supports consistently healing as soon as someone pokes around the corner. But I have never seen a ball defense like this work on Circuit Royale.
In a competitive environment, absolutely.
Yeah.
Not. Like, I feel like in my comp games, the enemy picks ball and my mental just explodes. But this has been very, very impressive. It's kind of giving me on Diablo's Wound vibes, if I can be so bold, Altruism. The way these two are playing, the Tracer and the main tank. Apricornicus in once again. He's found his target. Look at all the pressure and a great anti-kill. He's a sniper at the Kuragari, and he's showing it off now.
Oh, Kuragari just realized that Anna is a DPS character, gets the kill there as well with the nice little extra bit of damage. That's a triple, so we'll take that, Kuragari. For new supports, this is what you're doing wrong, by the way. You're not doing enough of this, and I know that goes without saying, considering it's insane, but the proactive plays are working.
Oh, that was a bit of a mistake there. Apriconic not able to get the height to get the pile driver down. Minefield popped somewhere else though. Pulse bomb at the ready. Solar, he's found a target. He'll take him down. Apriconic once again in the mix there to secure that kill. Can they find any more? Juno, the ace pack is gone, and so is Coconut, so is Mushi Altruism. This game is all done.
This game is done right here and now. The chaos was too much. I would not have thought a first point hold would have been losable right now, and yet Tank, they pull off 2 games to nothing.
Yeesh, Altruism. That was I questioned this guy right here. I questioned this pick right here, but man, he made me look like an absolute moron because he looked totally dominant. Once again, I compared it to the previous map where Terranlord was doing something extremely similar, Altruism, but the difference is this time he has a Tracer backing him up, and Solaris was doing that with absolute expertise and able to at the end of the day dominate a very, very short defense. Remember, they were always one fight away from losing that map, and they just never threw it away. And we saw what that meant to Team 1 and what their normal efficacy is, and how they couldn't execute that. Salmon not able to get in on the enemy tank, not able to get in on the enemy backline, constantly having to have his head on a swivel, trying to find out where that Tracer and Ball were, and in that time they were just vaporizing his supports. Coconuts, Mushi, no hope in hell. The Widowmaker of Blaine under so much pressure, just a perfect dominant display from Tank.
Well, we said it before, how much of a problem someone like Raven was when they were getting into their opponent's backline and making life difficult to do your job. And apparently Solaris and Abriconicus, they wanted to do that together, and that it was such good synergy between them. There was constantly a threat, and I mean, how are you supposed to group up and walk forward as a squad when every time you go around the corner and you want to start making any progress, you're getting bumped around, you're getting peppered with shots, someone's finally low HP, so you regather and you just get caught in this deadly cycle. So 2 games to nothing right now, Tank. I think they're going to want to probably try and clean it out in 3 if any, the wild imagination that us casters have of wanting to win it as fast as possible.
Yeah, I think I wonder how Team 1 responds to this, right? Because I feel like they're a very, very strong squad, but we've only seen one look from them, really. Right? I don't know that we've seen Raven play anything other than the Genji. Blaine has been excellent on that hit scan, and Salmon playing that brawly style. They have excelled, but they have been out-thought in this match so far. They have been out-strategized. The tactics have been superior, and that's been the difference between these 2 teams. I think if you force these 2 teams to play Salmon style, Salmon would dominate every day of the week. But Apricornicus and the rest of Tank have said, no, we've got so many different styles. We tried one in the first map, it worked perfectly, you responded, and then we tried something new that worked perfectly, and then come the 3rd map, your strength you played into, and you looked so dominant on your defense, but on our defense, we knew exactly how to handle that. So the question is, can Team 1 come up with something again like they did on the previous 2 occasions where they got outplayed, or is that it? Have they found the answer here on the side of Tank? Have they beaten Team 1 down, or will they take a 3-0 victory? I think there's still a chance that Team 1 can find the difference.
I love this. We go through to our Clash map, Throne of Anubis, which is a very interesting one. But what's like you say, the diversity currently being shown here by Tank is amazing. They can choose and pick for every situation, and they're certainly aware enough to know what counters are viable right now, or favored to go into, or just the play style that's coming out. And at the end of the day, regardless of whether this goes towards Tank or not, the fact that Team 1 is a very good team. It just might be a rock, paper, scissors kind of mentality right now, where the play style of one team will beat you but lose to other people kind of thing. So maybe this is just the play style that, like you say, led by Abriconicus' Tank, that really has found a weakness in the back of Team 1.
On top of that, I think it's worth reminding ourselves that this is a big team kill as well, right? The Vanquish boys on both sides of this, and I wonder how much of what we're seeing here, like I alluded to on that first map, is a case of Pokemoli rather, and who's the other one from this team? Cheetos saying to the rest of the squad, hey, here's what Salmon doesn't like. Here's how you handle Salmon in some capacity. Still comes down to execution and tactical awareness, but maybe that's what's put them on this track of put yourself in this chaotic space and make it so that Salmon can't just barrel roll through the back line.
Yeah. We're either going to take him out when he goes too far and his supports are distracted at the back line, or we're going to go in and take out the supports. Either way, Salmon is someone we can ignore for the very near future and just run riot around them as Apricornicus are looking to come back out. No! Talk about running riot. Okay. We are blowing it all out here. The brawl is there. Apricornus and Solaris now with Cheetos in tow as well. And I have a lot of dive potential on Danny backlines.
Again, a chaotic squad though. They've got the Lucio for the speed boost. They've got Genji and Tracer. So now they can look pressure on. And Salmon, he's responding to the enemy tank, but look what's happening on the other side behind him here. A lot of pressure being put on the enemy backline. Can they find any kills? Not just yet, but you feel it's only a matter of time.
Oh, every person going down low on both sides. It's going to favor out the Hazard squad. As you've got that consistent, reliable damage. And like you say, Solaris has just set up camp in the back line there. Constantly gets out on the sliver of HP, but knows the limits, knows the job, and not afraid when they're not looking at you to just put in full APM right now. Does pay with their life. A bit of an opening, but point captured.
Yeah, you're fine to lose out there, Solaris, because you've allowed your team to get that first cap. Now they can move towards that second point here. Salmon under a lot of pressure, not going to go down just yet, but pulling a lot of resources in. And once Solaris gets back into the fray, you can see how that can unfold into supports dying in Team 1's backline here. And here we go. Lane, though, he's decided to play a matching style here. I like this decision from him. He feels like he can match Solaris with the backing of his own supports and protect them at the same time, now converting that into attack. But great peel there from the two tank supports.
Oh, they did so well together. They've kept everyone alive. The rest of the tank has made it to the point. And so, as always, the Q buttons start getting mashed right now. Hazard going to have a nice downpour. Going to lock in the elusive Genji, clean up the fight. As it seemed like that was Team 1 trying something, but look at this. Systematically, one after the other, they fall.
And Salmon dying so late, so they won't even get another contest here. Wonder if we'll see them push up and try and take a tick here. We'll see a lot of teams just hang back here, let them get the recap and try and hold this second from the front point here. But it's just they're forcing a lot of duels, they're forcing a lot of 1v1s, and they're winning those 1v1s on the side of tank. Pulse Bomb goes down, doesn't find anything for the time being, but they've got Sound Barrier to work with their tank. So we'll see if they choose to commit ultimates.
Oh, counter hazard, which is really nice. Has the mobility to follow up with them, and again the same damage mitigation. But I mean, you talk about the 1v1s. Right now it seems like Tank is not taking 1v1s. They're taking 3v1s, but over and over and over. They move around together. You got Apricornicus who jumps in on someone. Cheetah's going to finish them off as Apricornicus moves to the next target. So, Juno in the air. Seems like we are going to be fighting it out for this first point, but Hazard is just such a nuisance, can stick around and stay alive and just stop this point going anywhere.
Oh, as you say that, Costa kills Coconuts, find the kill onto Apricornicus, and that might be the call now for Tank to back up and get set up to retake the second point. A good decision, I think. They've still got that sound barrier, now they've got the blade as well, fighting into the enemy blade, so they're set up nicely here, Tank, to win the next team fight. But interesting to see the Hazard on Hazard mirror matchup. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see that when I woke up this morning.
I mean, it's somewhat meta. Hazard is coming as a very strong character, and you can see why right now. Able to turn around, peel well for the team. Gonna have to shut down the Genji immediately, and the slash from Raven just shuts it down. Unfortunately here for Tank, they have lost a lot of their players. They're forcing Team 1 back, and I think going to be content to take up the... Oh, you can actually climb that? Okay.
Evidently, that dude's like a freaking monkey. And oh my god, speaking of monkey, Salmon hopping in onto Solaris. Downpour comes out. He catches the enemy, has it as well. Spike Guard will keep him healthy for the time being, but here comes the sound barrier now. They've still got the Genji Blade on Raven. Once the barrier dissipates, he'll probably throw that out if he needs to. Apricordicus back in the mix though, finds one. Pulse Bomb finds one as well. Doesn't find anything, but Apricordicus is popping up Raven. Taken down as well, Altruism. It's all going pear-shaped here for Team 1.
Oh, that is not great for them right there. They lost 2 key picks from Apricordicus as the blade was pulled out. I think if they had still had a full 5-man, I understand the hesitations and the reticence to hold on to it until after the beat dies, but I feel like there were at least 3 or 4 seconds there, no beat, that maybe looking for an angle or something. But Tank managed to get their 3rd points while Team 1 still on just a single one.
A breather here, Altruism. A chance to catch our breath. It's felt very, very frantic non-stop, and I get that that's kind of what you get when you have Hazard versus Hazard play. A lot of dive characters as well. You've got your Genji Tracer on both teams. The Lucio from Kurigari has been very, very good. I mean, if you told me last year, end of last year, would have had Kurigari flourishing on the Lucio, I would have called you a fool and a liar as I watched him click heads on the Widowmaker for Rage Quit Anomaly. But he's been excellent on that support role. His Ana was amazing on Circuit Royale, a big difference maker between the two teams, often securing kills. That could have been the difference between winning and losing the fight. So really, really big credit to Kurigari for his flexibility in terms of his roles. But it seems like Apricordicus, man, I never thought I would have said it, but he's just dominating this tank matchup. He's not destroying Salmon necessarily, but he's getting so much value out of the map and making space for his DPS to pop off.
Yeah, immediately goes in there, does get rebuffed slightly into the fight as we continue. Still think they need these 2 points and they win the game, but losing Kurigari, flourishing may be a strong word for you to use there. Caster's Curse coming out, and now Salmon has all the mobility to be able to just clean up this point. Still Team 1, and not without their own struggles. They have still Solaris, who's been a persistent thorn in their back line. Does go down there, gets the kill. But I mean, how are they contesting this point so intently?
And they're doing it naked, Altruism. No ults being used when they're fighting for this point, which is so smart. They've got the Pulse Bomb now coming into the next fight. Remember that second point is their point, right? That's the point they care about. If they get a tick here on this first point, that's like a bonus for them. As long as they've got resources to win this fight, they'll feel very, very confident here. And they've got resources now coming up to Blade, but Cheeto's dropping low. Needs to be careful.
Early aggression comes out there from Team 1, and it's not, unfortunately, in their favor. They have to now get back out. All of their mobility spells going on cooldown. Got a worrying speed boost ring there to also endure. That was an optimistic downpour from Salmon as he was trying to retreat out there. I don't know if he just fat-fingered it as he was trying to leap.
He says, oops. Might have whooped the tab key, looking to see who was alive and who was respawning through the downpour in the bin. And now, that might be the call for Tank. 3 ultimates to the grid here. Make it 4 as Pokemoli comes towards theirs. They might look to commit everything to end the game right now.
But the orbital ray, you've got to layer them so that you can bait out that orbital ray a little bit at least, so you don't throw everything. 4 ults and nearly the 5. So there goes the orbital ray, forced out from just the blade. Salmon still comes away with a kill on the back of that, and so there's a fight coming out here. Team 1, they've dropped just a single ultimate into it and forced out one from their opponents.
If they lose this match here, Tank, they'll be so angry with themselves. Coming into this last team fight, potentially, they've got everything they could ever want, right? You've got the Pulse Bomb for a quick pick, you've got Downpour, you've got Kitsune Rush, and most importantly, you've got the Sound Barrier coming up soon. They've got everything they need to close the map out here and take a 3-0 victory in what we think is a shock result.
Why do I feel like Blaine is going to pull off some nutty thing with the High Noon right now and manage to catch 3 or something like that? So, waiting so patiently. Here it comes. Throws it on Globe, gets hoops towards the team, and Apricordicus now caused to be absolutely domed there by Blaine. So everything else they're going to have to come in to keep the rest of Tank alive. Again, they want to do it right now. They don't manage to get anything out of the Pulse Bomb, and Sound Barrier also wearing off quite quickly. That's an intention right now for Salmon to get back in there. A couple of low HP characters to deal with, but that's about it. And Team 1 bring it back to a level game.
I'm shocked. They had everything they needed there. They committed a lot as well. The downpour, the only thing, and I wonder if Apricauticus dying there is what might end up losing this fight. Maybe it's not over yet. Here's the downpour. Apricauticus, he finds one, he finds two, he's found both supports, or he's found support and a DPS. Can they do it, Blaine? He's dropped down now. Altruism.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways, Tank, too good to go down here.
Raven tried for the Dragon Blade at the end of the previous fight and got nothing out of it. It was a little bit too separated. Now has miracles to accomplish right now. There goes a downpour the other direction, and the touch is there. So still this point continues to offer up some complexities for both sides. Nice heals coming out there from Coconuts on the Juno. With everyone down to basically a 3v3, a support on each side, and one DPS to go, one DPS down in the form of Blaine, so it's going to be replaced very quickly by Raven. Still, the fight trickles out.
Yeah, it's kind of being extended for so long, but it does feel like now finally Tank are finding a way through. Solaris, he's back in the fight now. He's alive, and he's outputting tons and tons of damage. 3 picks to the good for our red squad, and that should be it all.
7 going down is pretty consistent with the rest of this. There's going to be a Juno with the orbital ray attempt, but both Coconuts and Blaine unable to clinch out something. It looked like they were rallying. It really did. From our game number 2, where they looked like they were going to take it. And
yeah. I think... I mean, that's kind of a wake-up call for all of us here. Team 1 looked so strong. They looked unbeatable in their game against top starters, but that's the nature of the Talon Cup, right? You can't call anything until you've seen the match play out itself. But Apricauticus, man, what a superstar. Not a tank player by trade, coming in here and absolutely dominating for his team. Solaris looking untouchable on that Tracer. I said it. I think it's a bold statement, but they give me Zoom on Diablo vibes. The way they play together, especially when it was the ball Tracer combo. The way that they always seem to be on the same page. Somebody gets low and they just die. Whether it's the ball or the Tracer finding that pick, it was absolutely excellent play from the top 3 and Kurigari players, and Kurigari himself showing up on the Ana and even on the Lucio at the end there.
Yeah. I really like what you talked about that combo. I mean, Apricauticus and Solaris, they came in as a duo for this competition, so they knew it. And it seemed like when Apricauticus was trying to play a tank, it wasn't working so well. But then they were like, okay, tell you what, go play a 700 HP DPS.
Yeah.
And apparently that's all they needed. So a really nice way into the back line, and brings us to the end of game number 4. Now, Sun Phoenix.
Oscar, let me hear it.
Where's my MVP?
It's a tough one, Altruism. It's a tough one because there are players that stood out across the board here. Anytime Salmon is in a game, Salmon is in the conversation, but he was muted very, very effectively by the opposing team. And for me, the playmaker, the space maker, the superstar was Apricauticus. I think that's a pretty safe call. I think you could make an argument absolutely for Solaris. I think nobody would begrudge you that. But for me, I like to lean on the tank, and I think his ability to dictate play with his hero choices, if nothing else, was what pushed Tank into the lead here and allowed them to dominate. And it really was domination, Altruism, in spite of how even the scorelines may appear on the different maps. I think when they won very, very hard. Yeah.
And Apricauticus, like you say, was a big part of that. Even something like Amalga is just a statement of intent and going, okay, I'm going to fight. And there were moments when Apricauticus didn't look comfortable, maybe on the Zarya at the beginning, for example. But or at least in game number 2, map number 2, of Control Point. But other than that, when Apricauticus looked comfortable, he looked like he could take on an entire team on their own. It was just constantly getting the right targets, picking apart people, staying alive. That was what you want for your tank. And sublime job. We have a new team to watch, it seems. I've said that after every game today.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's a wake-up call for us. I think in my head, I just filed Team 1 as the best team in the tournament, right? And what a fool I was, because we hadn't yet seen all the teams. I think after this game, we've now seen all the teams, or all but one of them.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting a good sense. But I also think that what they did so well in this match was counter out the strengths of Team One, right? That's what Tink did so effectively, and that isn't necessarily going to be as easy. They need to prove each time that they can come up with solutions to the problems that the different team face them. You don't look at this team and think this team will beat anyone with anything, right? You do get the sense that they will have to come up with solutions every time, and how effectively they can actually execute on that will be a big determiner of how successful they will be. And I would love to see these two teams face each other tomorrow, deeper down the line, and see how things have changed.
Yeah. Ideas are great, but when they meet paper, sometimes they fall apart. Sometimes it's not as easy as we thought back in the spawn rooms. But guys, brings us to the end of game number 4. We're going to again take a nice little hour-long break. At 8 o'clock, we come together with our last game for day number 1 of the Talon Cup. So you can go somewhere now, just for a little bit. Make sure to get everyone back in. 8 o'clock sharp. We'll see you then.
my spot, yeah. No key, got the game on lock, ayy. Big threes when I take my shot, ayy. On the rise and we ain't gon' drop. On the grind, it's our time, just watch.
If you want it, you can get it. Life gets hard, but don't you let it get you down. Go get the crown because our time is now.
Ayy, we gotta get it. Gotta get up, gotta go, we gotta get it. Ayy, they won't forget us. Made it happen and we all became legends. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it. We can't be contained when we leave the game. My name will remain. We don't need the fame. You can keep this chain. We broke free so things won't be the same. Nah, on the mission, gotta get it. Let's work. We were raised on the net. I'm raising my net worth, but it ain't about the money. Nah, it ain't about the cause. All that matters is the world knows who we are. Stars.
If you want it, you can get it. Life gets hard, but don't you let it get you down. Go get the crown because our time is now.
Hey, we gotta get it. Gotta get up, gotta go, we gotta get it. Hey, they won't forget us. Made it happen and we all became legends. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. We gotta get it.
Know that our time is now. Yes, life can get hard, but don't ever let it keep you down.
Right, we are back for the Talon Cup, the end of the group stages right now. The last chance for a good seeding in tomorrow's playoff brackets. I'm Ultrism, I've been here the whole day, and Sun Phoenix been with me for the last two more decisive victories as we head into quite an important game in terms of the overall standings.
Yeah, the most pinnacle game, you'd have to say, in terms of setting us up for the bracket stage tomorrow. We know most. We're in a funny position where we know a lot of stuff, but nothing we could actually put on paper quite yet. We know who's going to be in the upper bracket, but we don't know where they're going to be in the upper bracket, bar one team, and that is what we'll decide in this match right now. It is going to be Freaky, taking on Marvel's Rivals. That's a hard name to say.
Yeah.
And the game itself is actually Marvel Rivals, so it's just confusing all around. On top of the message that I think they're putting out there. So we'll have to hope for Overwatch's sake Marvel Rivals doesn't do very well in this tournament. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't play some Marvel Rivals. So we'll have to see how it fares in the Talon Cup, how this team fares.
Bro, like putting out like a confession right there. But it took me half a game to realize that it's Marvel's Rivals, so like possessive and Marvels. It's a very clever name. I absolutely love it, and we got to see them earlier. I think it was the first game of the day. Second one with Cheetos, and this was a team that did very well then, but just didn't manage to push it all the way through their close fights. You know, another one of those Game 4 thrillers that we got to see. Freaky, the only team we've yet to see here today.
Yeah, so it's good that by the end of today we'll have seen all the teams that are playing, that are taking part in the Talon Cup. So we'll get a good sense of the relative strengths of some of these, and at least every player taking part in the tournament, hopefully, substitutes notwithstanding, will have been able to show themselves on stream. And, depending on what's happening with the competitive scene this year, I don't think we have any concrete information on that, but it's a good opportunity. Something we haven't mentioned throughout the day, at least not you and I, Altruism, is that if you're a team owner, manager, or just a person who wants to start a team of their own, this is a great place to look out for some potential superstars that haven't been noticed just yet. I can speak on previous tournaments where we've definitely seen players who we didn't know before the tournament put on a really, really solid performance and then kind of embed themselves in the competitive scene. So we'll have to wait and see if there are any players like that come out of the Talon Cup, but at the very least we've got some players who are starting to build a legacy around themselves now in the competitive scene locally.
That was the beauty of this whole tournament, is what we've said all day, right? Is giving people who want to do amazing things in contact with people who are doing amazing things, right? People who've got the experience, who've walked the path, etc. So I did see in Twitch chat at one stage that Mushi, the wonderful Mercy player that we got to see a lot today, was being called out, being like, this Mercy needs to be picked up for a team. And that's exactly what you're saying, right? It's the people who are going, I was impressed. The talent was impressed. The opponents were impressed, and that's great to see. Now we get to see a very interesting mix between those people again from the stalwarts, but some names that I'm most excited from Freaky. If we take a look at the let's stick with the bracket for now, then we can go into the matchup. But just as an understanding of where we're at in the tournament and what this game means. The way the bracket tomorrow is going to work out, double elimination as always. Upper bracket means you still have a life in hand. Lower bracket means that you lose, you're out. And the two teams who finish top of the two groups, they are automatically qualified for the upper bracket. You see Ange Fan Club. Yeah, Ange Fan Club. They've already secured that one spot, and they're going up against whoever comes in second from the other bracket. The last three teams, so the bottom two from Pool A and the bottom one from Pool B, they are forced to go automatically into the lower bracket. They've lost one of their lives just being forced to start their journey from there. So a lot rides on how you end up in the group stages today. And we've had a lot of Overwatch today, Sun Phoenix. We've got some standings. There's been a tale told.
Yeah, it's been a long day of Overwatch, and we can see here the culmination of all of that, bar the two matches that are taking place right now. Those two matches will decide who finishes top of Group A and who finishes bottom of Group A. So there's still plenty to play for, but we know the two top teams coming out of Group A. It is going to be Tank, it is going to be Team 1. They've got their invitations to the upper bracket starting tomorrow, and it's going to be Aura and Tok starters going to the lower bracket. It's just the order of who is in first and who is in third that needs to be decided. And then in Group B, which is where we are right now, Ange Fan Club, as you said, they've already secured their position in first in Group B and in the upper bracket, and then the second team to go through to the upper bracket will be whoever wins here between Rivals and Freaky. So this is a perfect match for us to cast Altruism because there are actual real stakes on it. You want to be in an upper bracket, you want to have those 2 lives, as you mentioned already. So winning this game is very, very important.
Oh, high stakes from beginning to end. I absolutely love it. And we Freaky still being that unknown quantity that we don't know. They've played one game. That doesn't tell us a lot. We didn't even get to see that. So there really has been the spirit of discovery and surprise constantly, underestimation at certain stages. I mean, both you and Cheeto put your money completely on the wrong horse as you went into it. I just stay out of the predictions. Way easier that way.
We should pry a prediction out of you at some point at least, so you can
try
potentially suffer with us. As you say, I put all my chips behind Team 1, and they disappointed me deeply. Not in practical terms, I mean, not in emotional terms. I think it was kind of like the better Team 1, and Team 1 looked good, but they looked like they had been out-strategized. And that's a great way to see a team lose. They weren't outplayed, they weren't outskilled, they were just outfought, and that's awesome to see, especially in a pug style tournament like this. But I'm looking forward to see what Freaky bring to the table. Marvel's Rivals got bundled out a little bit. They took a map, I believe, off Ange Fan Club, so plenty skill in their bank, but we'll have to wait and see what Freaky brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, we can take a quick look at the rosters if there's time for that. Marvel Rivals, the one that we're going to start with Freaky, right? The unknown quantity right now. And when I look at this, there's a lot of names there that I see. The name that jumps out, obviously because of my bias, Super BH, a tank that we were talking about him earlier when we mentioned Salmon. The two of them have a similar playstyle. Put a lot of resources into me, and I'm going to wreak havoc in their lines. Don't, and I can be left on my own in a place I shouldn't have been, kind of thing. And then you back it up with people like Nevada Queen, who's been, again, one of those that newer additions, the tier of players who've really cemented themselves in to the old guard as good players. And so I like, maybe BH gets the backing that they need. Chloe can play, and QWOV on the DPS lineups, and then Jace on the Ana, or at least the second support. I'm not Jace. The name rings a bell, but I can't place it.
He played DPS, I think, for one of K's teams at some point. I think I can't remember exactly who. Definitely been around for quite a bit. I seem to remember him playing a lot of Cassidy, although I say that standing on correction. But a lot of people playing different roles. That's got a lot to do, if you're wondering why that is, it's got a lot to do with balancing teams. You submit a number of roles, so while your best role might be, Diamond or Masters, it might be easier to put you on your second best role and balance you with the other players that way. So that's why we see a lot of players playing their off roles. But we've seen from Kurigawa already, just because you're on an off role, it doesn't mean you can't contribute bigly to your team's performance. So we'll have to see what Jace can get done. But eyes going to be on Super BH, absolutely. That matchup against the Marvel Rivals tank Ego is going to be very, very important.
This is an interesting lineup because Ego was certainly pushing the boundaries earlier when we got to see them play, and was staying alive on incredibly low margins, playing something like a Junker Queen quite confidently to brawl it out on the point. And then you've got backing them up the duo of Sushi Roll and Risen, the two supports that have come in, and these guys know how to play around each other constantly. The Brig Anna is a very standard combo that they do like to bring out, and that's something that we were chatting earlier, Cheetos and I, that's something that you can run with so much. And when that's a core part of whatever game plan you're going to run, and you can depend on them, a lot of pressure placed on those two, and also to keep Ego alive. But Fable touted as a fantastic hit scan and the tracer, and then Goku was a very proficient Reaper and Genji. So, you know, a lot that they can rely on. Theoretically, I'd like to see it come together.
We'll have to wait and see. I think Fable's another one of those Vanquish boys, right? So he's coming in with a pretty significant competitive pedigree into the Talon Cup, and as you say, a monster on the trace especially. And we've seen how devastating that hero can be in the Talon Cup so far this weekend already. Solar's standing out in a big way alongside Apricornicus on the ball. So we'll have to wait and see whether they can bring it all together. Looking at the composition they've got here, that's quite a difficult composition to execute. But we're going to go to Ilios now. Ultraism, it's going to be one of the more favored maps in South African Overwatch. No love for Oasis this weekend for some reason.
Ilios is, we've said it a couple of times, has been really nice. You know, the whole hasn't been a big defining factor, although, yeah, Mercy's playing in and around there. We saw one boop become
We saw a Cassidy jumping getting knocked in. Was it Blaine? It might have been?
Yeah, exactly. Blamed on the Cassidy falling down the hole at the beginning of a fight is kind of like a big moment. But other than that, like, there haven't been defining features. People have been playing quite mobile characters around these points, and everyone has their own little flavor. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see COWZA pick up their signature Widowmaker, Marvel's rivals try and jump on them kind of thing. That would be my basic game plan for most of the Ilios map types.
Yeah, I mean, Widowmaker really only excels on ruins as far as Ilios goes. So we'll have to, you're much more likely, if you're looking for a long-range hit scan, to run an Ashe, or the Sojourn has obviously been very popular. I'm looking forward to see the flavor that these teams bring to their compositions. What do you feel like is going to work best for you? That's always very telling when they come out of the door. What is the complexion of your composition? Are you looking more divey? You can play more aggressive, or are you happy to play a bit slower and poke things out? That's kind of the most telling thing. It doesn't the map almost matters less in a tournament like the Talon Cup. What matters more is the tone you set as a unit for how you're going to approach the match.
I like it, and right now it feels like the teams that get a little bit more proactive, you know, they're going for a dive or like a very fast rush with a Junker Queen. Those are the teams in general, you know, not Circuit Royale. Let's be fair about this. But those are the teams the ones that show the initiative and try and set the tempo themselves tend to do a little bit better. So we're seeing the two teams coming out right now, and both of them going for a very mirrored composition aside from the main tank.
We saw a lot of D.Va in the first match of the day, I think it was, or the second match it might have been, but we haven't seen any D.Va since then. Of course, we've been seeing a lot of Salmon play, and he kind of creates a meta around himself. But it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams approach this matchup compositionally. It is basically mirrored, exactly mirrored, other than the tanks. Super BH, a very, very adept monkey player, so we'll have to see how Ego can respond on the D.Va.
And right now, the big thing I'm looking at, Risen and Sushiro, it's how to their capabilities is the duo, and they're immediately blown up. A big trade comes out from both sides, and casualties abound as they now find it out 3v3, but Ego's not letting go of their prey, manages to take down one. Q falls to the Genji jewel, and Super BH going to be able to claim that Genji back at least. So still sticking around, but it's just going to be a late stagger to the points. It's Marvel's rivals. They got that early pick, and they just executed everyone else afterwards.
Yeah, pretty explosive team fight, actually. A huge anti-nade secured the opening kill onto Novatic Queen, I think it was. But the difference there is the D.Va versus the monkey, right? The D.Va can counter the monkey cannot counter the D.Va. So when you're left with the D.Va is a big problem to solve. That is difficult to deal with no matter what hero you're on. Whereas the D.Va can handle the monkey quite comfortably.
This time we're going to see the support go down from the side of the Marvel rivals, and that's a really nice way to follow up on it. I don't know if the Anna was enough for them to have a go call, but this certainly is. They're going to dive out there. Super BH, he talks about their proficiency on the monkey. You're going to be pressed to the limit.
Wow.
Actually taken down, anti-healed, slept up, and punished for that, but it wasn't a lot out of step, really.
Ego's playing a little bit away from his team at the moment. I'd like to see him spend maybe a little bit more time playing defensively, because he can counter the monkey quite confidently and then convert that into aggression. But COWZA is going to drop very, very early here to Fable.
Yeah, a bit of a staggered fight comes out. Still the point ticks up
Nice
for
boop.
Freaky, so they can play this slow if they need to. Really nice boop again to just get that diva off the high ground. Super BH, at least having the awareness to give the shield and the body blocks to teammates. Immediately finds some targets on the other side and
Oh my
gonna
God.
eliminate the Ana. Now has a chase going on and can harass everyone else. How much can this diva get done in the meantime? Ego trying to pressure out the rest of this Freaky side, but not really getting anything out of it. There's a target in the back line. Ego hasn't spotted it, decides to instead try and instill some presence on the points. They've got the percentage up, the Marvel's rivals, but
Yeah.
they don't want to give that away.
They capped that in the middle, so they've converted this into a defense now, which is perfect for them because even if they lose out, they've been gaining advantage this whole time. Quav, he finds one, finds a second, can look to find a third. The Nanoboost is late, but it secures an execution onto the greatest Saiyan to ever live, and unfortunately, that's going to be it for this team fight. With up to 64%. Quav with the 4K up to a 5K player kill streak. But Freaky or Marvel's rivals, they'll be pretty happy with how that unfolded once things are all said and done. Just 1 point, Sushi has been incredible with the boops, with the flare.
Yeah.
Every time Super BH looks to get aggressive on the side ground, he gets booped back. So really, really credit to Sushi on the brig.
Yeah, it's hard enough to execute into this when you've got to worry about your timings and your boobs then to throw in afterwards. The timings have been a little bit off, it seems, sometimes, but Freaky getting aggressive right now. BH has got into the first point, but everyone from Freaky's HP dropping dramatically. They start to group up a little bit. Heal packs being distributed, and a couple of ults left to drop if Freaky needs them. They've got a pretty good present now. Risen going to be taken out on the back of the point. Sushi Roll desperately trying to wail on anything that they can reach and keeping that Inspire healing up. Actually going to try and take out the Genji. Still can't get the last shot though. Stay on the point though. Get that percentage constantly going up, but eventually it feels like Freaky got this.
Oh, that was close. The remake almost getting a couple of squish kills there. But again, Altruism, you know who had control over that point the whole time? Marvel's rivals did.
Yeah.
So this match would have been over 10 times already had Freaky been able to just keep one toe on the point, prevent the cap. But now, Marvel rivals coming in with the last fight. They've got two ultis to work with, but they're under a ton of pressure here.
All the supports just being taken apart, and BH and QWOV, they had the awareness of each other, they had the faith in each other. Marvel's rivals having split the fight though, they've got a couple of people diving on points. Got to get through a Surgeon and an Ana that are backed up right against each other. BH reinforces this after cleaning things up with QWOV. Their desperate Diva Bomb drops onto points, doesn't get anything. Railgun attempt going out there. There's a boop on the edge, actually going to take down Nova as well. So two quick picks finding their way due to gravity. Unfortunately, Ego and Baby Diva is just not something that stands up for long against the monkeys. Takes long enough though. And Marvel's rivals turns it.
Jesus, talk about a desperate defense there, Altruism. Two boops kind of kept them in that one. And now they're actually in prime position here. 95% on the clock. Somebody's going to have to look for a desperate touch. They've got the Nano Boost. They've got the Blade. This could be an easy team fight win if they can hook it up with an opening kill. They'll be confident.
QWOV had to make a touch at that stage. No one else is going to get to the point. So pays with the life. Going to be coming back in. Not with a blade or anything, but certainly going to be needed on the point right now. Is instead on the other side, Goku got a blade ready and waiting for anyone of Freaky that wants to step onto the points. Right now, it's just the ball really contesting for as long as possible. Nowhere, and HP does eventually go down. Anyone's got to contest. There's nothing, and Marvel's rivals had so much yet to play.
Yeah, I think Freaky will be so annoyed with how that went down because they won so many team fights that they just allowed the point to get capped and then went to win the team fight. And there's something to be said, don't get me wrong, for focusing on securing the kills and winning the team fight, but clearly it didn't work for them here. They needed to spend just a little bit more attention on securing that point. Rather than going very, very deep for kills, because they lost, at least 30-40% Altruism to mid-fight caps.
There was another whole fight in there if they managed to do it. You know, they could have forced some desperation out of Marvel's rivals. Now, unfortunately for Freaky, they're playing from behind, and Marvel rivals, they've got a comp that seemed to work very well for them, and it seems like Freaky going to be trying to match that even more closely. They've got the Ashe on their side, but they've taken Diva v Diva, and BH is a person with a lot to prove when it comes to these sort of tank matches that he's losing.
Like I said, oh my god, speaking of losing tank matches, Super BH is not sitting pretty here, now being forced back, not dying quite yet. In fact, Jace finds the counter kill onto Fable. Can they find anything more? Doesn't matter. They're set up nicely on point here, Marvel's rivals once again, so they're going to get the first cap, but will they win the first team fight?
Yeah, I mean, they killed Super BH at the end of that, so effectively they did win the first team fight. Certainly not an abundance of kills that came out of it, as everyone is so elusive and freaky, but I mean, when only one person reads their limits wrong, it still stagnates the team fight completely.
Especially if it's your tank. That's like the worst case scenario. And like I said at the start, I would rather be D.Va in a D.Va versus Winston matchup than Winston. You know, I've played a lot of D.Va, and I would gladly play against Winston every single game because I know I can shut him down with the micro missiles if he gets out of position. And Ego responded quite well, like I kind of asked him to, and now he gets aggressive once again. Super BH dies early. Clearly, he doesn't quite know his limits quite as well on the D.Va as he does on some of the other tanks.
Yeah, this is not a tank that we see him play a lot. He goes for more of those brawl-in-your-face Ramatra-style characters or something cheeky like the Wrecking Ball. I wouldn't even mind seeing that coming out with this lineup, but Marvel Rivals is just doing too good of a job. They're dealing with the mech. They're getting that disposed of. That kind of opens space up, and now we've got a lot of ultimates coming online. Sushiro really wants to get up this Kitsune Rush. There has it now, thanks to the diving in D.Va, and Super BH once more summarily dealt with.
Yeah, once again, just getting a little bit over aggressive, and he just is leaving his team in the lurch here. There's no winning against an enemy D.Va if your D.Va is basically never in the game. He's not even towards his ulti yet, only 75%. Ego's had their ulti for the whole game already, it feels like, and in fact, his whole team with a pretty significant ult advantage. They've moved now onto the Echo, need to put some pressure from the high ground, and I think it's a good idea, especially with that beam against the D.Va, but they're not able to execute for the time being, and they're running out of time.
Yeah, I mean, Fable's a great pick to start this off and allows them to get closer, certainly gives them a little bit of time. Wants to drag down the other D.Va, decides to pop the mech in the middle, doesn't manage to get anything on the other side. Goku wrecking with the Dragon Blader. Nice little boop of Bob off the edge there with the mech explosion, and immediately Ego back in to challenge everyone. Takes out the Ash, bullying out the poor Brigitte in the corner. Two quick headshots from Sushi Roll. Gonna take care of that. And even the Pharaoh desperately to try get anywhere near the point. Gonna not be able to close the distance. And Freaky go down pretty convincingly.
That was a play at the end there that kind of reeked of desperation from Super BH, because I've played a pretty decent chunk of D.Va in the past, and that's a move I make when I don't back my team to win team fights, because he kind of charges in there, chucks the ultimate up, hoping to get a few cheap kills, whereas if you trust your team, you value having that second life way more than the potential maybe sometimes kills that come from a self-destruct. So yeah, just a little bit, the team's struggling a bit to secure kills and find picks, and Super BH is bearing the brunt of that at the moment, because he's getting focused pretty hard at the moment, and either he's too far away from his team in terms of he's initiating too aggressively, or his team are playing a little bit slower than he would like. It's hard to say without being in comms and watching through replays, but yeah, there's a disconnect between him and his team at the moment, and we'll have to hope that they can clean that up, or otherwise Marvel Rivals are gonna run over them. But it is worth remembering, Altruism, that first map was 99-99 or close to it, so they do have the opportunity to win, but unfortunately they were dominated on WoW quite convincingly.
Yeah, as Nairo did point out earlier, control points are their own beastie. And it's a beastie that Super BH has had trouble in the past with really dealing with. When the teams get enmeshed like that, it's harder to... He doesn't peel as well as some of the other people that we've seen throughout the day today. He likes rushing forward a little bit, and he really likes having that delineation of sides on the map. You know, when on a control point, that line gets a little blurred sometimes. Yeah. That's where when you go to something like your payload maps, your control, your hybrid maps, even your push maps, your side, my side, Super BH is going to be more on your side. And so we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the series. And Peach says, take one guess of what the next map is going to be. My guess, I haven't seen it yet. Gotta be Circuit Royale. It's been too prevalent today to not be that. Right, Peach?
It is. Peach can't respond on... Yeah, so it is Hidden Circuit. I like this map. I like the way the map looks. Like I said, I don't necessarily love how the map feels to play, but the teams clearly love this map. So whatever we think doesn't matter, because they're clearly happy to play this map over and over again. As we've now mentioned ad nauseum, teams you'd expect to see a more pokey line out, taking good use of the long sight lines. And from a caster's perspective, Altruism, anytime you're likely to get a Widow duel, I think you're pretty happy to watch a match play out.
I mean, that's always satisfying, right? It's definitely the point of view to watch as everyone else kind of like jostles in the middle. The Widow, that one pick, that one bit of freedom to start taking shots uncontested down the sidelines. It's pivotal when it comes to this. But right now, we'll see some interesting stuff. I wouldn't be surprised to even see something like Super BH Ball going out. We saw it earlier in the previous match, even on defense. The ability to challenge the snipers. There is the most commonly defined meta of poke and snipe, etc. And then there's how do I challenge that? Both the teams decide, I'm not challenging it, we're running exactly that. And Freaky, though, running an extra Mercy is big in the duel, and then the Pharaoh over the top, especially if you can win that duel.
The Pharaoh will just die to the Widow, no? That's my big concern right now. Does the Pharaoh help you win that Widow duel? Or does... Yeah, okay, the Sojourn is a much better pick. I think you're having a really hard time on the Pharaoh, and you're pulling the Widow out of the fight, the Mercy, out of the fight, and instead the Nova will switch now onto the Kiriko. I like this. I quite like the Zenyatta from Sushiro. I think that can kind of give you power that sometimes the enemy tanks won't respect, and Super BH especially might find himself caught out by the Discord orb on occasion. But he's good enough to understand the limitation that he needs to incorporate into his play.
Yeah, it's all about how Super BH reads these fights right now. You've got a lot of people behind you, all of which can kind of harass and test the back line, get a shot in here or there. We see Sushiro took an early one, and every one of these little bits of chip damage end up as kills. Sushiro, Goku taken out in the back line. All the space now for Freaky to run forwards. It's just up to Super BH to set the tempo, land the accretion shots, obviously, take out everyone on the back lines as he rushes forward in death. And if Super BH does all of that, they should do well in this fight.
Yeah, it's pretty easy when your tank just secures a whole bunch of kills and is under very little pressure. But it is worth noting that Quab did win the Widow duel while under pressure. But, I think it might have been Fable actually, but he'd lost a lot of players before that happened. Quab has to be careful here, is backing up, and they just need to secure the kill on that tank and they should be good to go.
Dodges the lead shot out there. Actually takes a counter shot against the Zen. Fable, the new hit. Quab hadn't changed position, so could peek that out and win the duel. Really nice play there, and certainly now with Super BH consistently showing that aggressive nature that we love so much. Shield was a little far forward, gonna have to bring that back. Actually, doesn't manage to get that enough extra health to survive through. Chloe at least makes good use of the space that was created. But
I believe
was going to come in.
I believe Super BH was actually had his ult cancelled there by a rock or something. So that's unfortunate for him. He was slept out of it. So that's really, really unlucky. And ultimate they would have loved to have. And they've kind of been pushed back here with that death from him. So he's going to be looking to kind of move forward here. They've got the Sojourn ult pretty much ready to go. They've got Ego getting low, stunned up, Goku under pressure as well. They've got the Nano Boost and the Genji ulti soon-ish. But the Genji's struggling to find value here a little bit, Altruism.
Yeah, Goku's not close enough. Now do you try and drop that Nano Boost into the fight? And the other hand, though, you've seen the clear Goku. I mean, really nice separation off by Super B8 onto the Widowmaker who couldn't get out. Meanwhile, the Sojourn causing havoc with that increase. And very late trance to recontest. You're just going to die as soon as you come out of that right now. The trance had to be there at the beginning of the fight. Still trying to come out. Trance comes from Freaky. They've got it for so much longer, and it's just a cleanup to confirm point number 2.
Yeah, that second trance was also bad. Both of those were bad trances. Sushi's kind of felt desperate, like we need to stop the momentum somehow, and she ended up throwing that away. But the second trance was not necessary. They'd already got like 3 picks, so it was just a matter of cleanup from there. But we'll have to wait and see if it ends up being an issue for either team. Or Super BH, he's set up so aggressively here, trying to, pry out an advantage for his team, and he's doing exactly that.
Gets it, keeps Goku on low HP, shows his teammates where they are, and Chloe can play. Jump in there for the last bit of damage that they need. Now they've got all the sight lines, and the payload has been moving the whole time because of BH's really aggressive positionings. You can go forwards. Fable just trading those shots for so long and doesn't manage to get it. Just spending all that time not releasing damage, not putting pressure on the points. All the pressure's coming out. Goku turns it around. The miracle triple blade to be able to stop the payload in its track. That something had to break. It came on the shoulders of Goku.
Yeah, Super Saiyan Blue there with the nano boost on his back as well. So getting the job done for his team. He's had a bit of a quiet match, it has to be said. Goku struggled to pry open the enemy defense like we saw Raven do in the previous match. He struggled to put the Quav under the same pressure, but Quav has just instead been losing the duel to Fable, so it doesn't end up mattering that much as now they get forced back once again. Quav this time on the Tracer, gonna look to pump out a ton of damage instead of forcing that Widowmaker duel. They've already demeched Ego, never mind, fix that immediately as they look to get set up for a defense once again, but they'll be happy with how things are going. They've kind of brought it back here a little bit freaky.
Now, who's going to deal with the sniper, though? It's got to be COWZA. Chloe can play, can try getting a good railgun shot, but otherwise they've lost a lot of the control of this high ground. The Zarya beam's not going to do too much up there, and I mean that's certainly some way you can assure your Widowmaker has some space. Just sleep into shots and the grenades. Now a bit of a deficit coming out there. Nova gets out of 7 HP. Nano boost dropped onto the Zarya. Only sitting at 40% charge and takes a nap to try and get a little bit lower down there. Still keeps going. Does get out the Transcendence from the opponent, but really just seems like a Transcendence to win a fight that they were already winning. They confirm that the Zarya dies. Super BH is not the last one to fall, though, unfortunately, as the rest of the team getting picked apart. Plenty of time still left for Freaky to come back in, but Marvel Rivals did that pretty handily.
Yeah, I think you're annoyed if you're a Sushi because that's not how you want to use trance, but you don't want to die there. I think there was enough in that team fight that dying there might have lost you the round. So it's kind of worth throwing it there, but Super BH will definitely be saying, guys, that was 100% worth it, because now he's coming in close to grab. Needs to not let it get eaten. It's a hungry hippo here through the eyes that we're watching, and has the ultimate available, but needs to be careful now.
Well, this is the call. He gets the Diva to turn around and throws it in, and Diva Bomb to try and secure some sort of exit out of this. COWZA actually going to fall to that, trying to chase one of the low HP kills. Chloe can play, desperately trying to find an angle from the side, but everyone turns and looks, jukes and jives. There's a lone Zarya, purpled up for good measure, and taken down. Doesn't matter how many bubbles you've got, you're going to just have them chewed through. Marvel's Rivals still hold steady, and Freaky kind of dropped everything that they had into that.
Yeah, very, very expensive. They wanted more out of that Graviton Surge, but the follow-up kind of just wasn't there. I wasn't able to get a sense of how much charge Super BH had in that before he grabbed. But yeah, it felt like they weren't able to output enough damage to take anybody down in that ultimate. They've got Transcendence now, and Goku's coming towards his ulti. Rizen's already used the Nano, but COWZA wins the duel against Fable. He might have lost the Widowmaker duel, but he's won the Tracer duel for the time being.
Oh, nearly meets into the wailing fist of Zenyatta, though. A really nice bit of a preemptive play forced out the recall. Still, payload dominated by the high ground here of Freaky. Marvel Rivals trying to get more players up there. Fable decides to take another one of these famous duels between the two of them. Actually winning it right now and got reinforcements.
There we go.
Long shots. Here comes a wraparound. Big plays coming out from Freaky. I don't think they want to stay up here too long. They could get the Diva out of mech early, that would be great. They've got the Nano Boost as well. No, the stick comes out. Fable finds the key pick. Only 30 seconds left. right now, Freaky doesn't have time to really reset.
Yeah, BH needs to die here, and they need to try and get in for one last fight. They're closing in on Graviton Surge. They've got Trance, they've got Nano, they've got tools to win this team fight, but so do the opponents. Nano Blade already up once again for Marvel's Rivals. They've got Transcendence as well. Second Life available for Ego, so this is going to be an explosive team fight, but they might not even get the touch here, Altruism. Who's going to get in? Okay, Tracer.
Tracer manages to at least stick the touch right now. Had a bubble and a Harmony Orb out there. Here comes the big combos around the other way. There's Nova Queen's dead. There's no Transcendence. This is just going to cut through everyone. There's so many ults. There's so many resources available. Freaky just doesn't manage to get them to hit the ground right now. Everyone falls. Late desperate touches coming out from COWZA does eventually go down, and I think that's all they wrote. It's a good push. But Freaky's going to be annoyed that it wasn't all the way.
Who killed Nova Queen there? Because that was absolutely key there. The Trance comes out. That might allow Super BH to build up a bunch of charge, and a big Grav cleans up the whole team. Grav wasn't even used in that team fight, Altruism. They died with two. They ended the round with 2 ults in the bank. And that's kind of the pressure that D.Va puts on Azaria. Yes, you think on paper, Zarya is a counter to D.Va. That's why Super BH was playing it, to make sure Ego couldn't do whatever he wanted. But as a Zarya, when you've got Grav, I would rather never Grav than have my Grav be eaten, as stupid as that sounds, on an Ego level, if I can put it that way. As somebody who plays a lot of Zarya and a lot of D.Va, I'd rather just not Grav than give the opposing tank the satisfaction of eating my Grav. So he just never used it, and that's a big problem for them. So they kind of get stuck up again towards the end of that. We've already spoken at length to Altruism about how hard it is to push through that final point of circuit route. So while I think momentum is in favor of Marvel's Rivals here, and mentally they'll feel like they won that out given the bad start they had to that round, in practical terms, I think Freaky will be okay with how that all played out.
Yeah, Freaky got a good distance. They're going to be annoyed that they didn't, just because of the nature of an Overwatch player, let's be fair.
Yeah.
But Marvel's Rivals, I think they're going to be also just buoyed up a little bit by the fact that they held that at the end. The fact that they actually came together. There were a couple of really intense fights. They got some good picks, and they're not changing up too much, giving Fable still some space on the higher ground. Going to be going back to this ever-present Widow duel. Widow spotted out from both sides, neither one managing to get the key shot that they need. Oh, decent shot attempt from Fable, but Jace going to be the first one to go down. Sushi Roll's been so good with these charge shots. COWZA comes off the better in the Widow duel. And all the damage really going on the force, on the assault here of the Marvel's Rivals, being able to take so much aggressive posturing right now, and Goki even goes forward with a bit of a deflect, trying to get a cheeky Widow kill, I guess.
Yeah, I'll try to get that reflect kill on the Widow, but not able to do so. But this is what we wanted to see from Goku. We wanted to see him pressure this Widow a little bit, even if he's not getting the kills. If he's forcing attention away from his own Widow, then that's exactly what he needs to do. And so far, Fable has had the better of that trade on the Widowmakers, at least. We'll have to wait and see if he can keep that going. No ultimates up to speak of just yet, but Super BH building nicely towards his Ego, struggling a bit on the D.Va at the moment.
Whoa, bit of a play comes out here. Freaky's had to drop their immortality field, so Super BH can't afford to overextend right now. He's put in decent pressure on the back lines, but needs to be careful. Purpled up, gets a shield in the way, and these Freaky's got a chance. They've just stabilized. They just holding Marvel's Rivals at this bit of a deadlock here until someone gets a key pick on the Widowmaker or a big ultimate comes out. Gravitic Flux only on the D.Va, so not really going to be able to stop too much. Now tries to separate off the D.Va so they at least don't have the space and the resources behind them as they were nano boosted up. So the survival of Gravitic Flux versus Nano Boost comes out even. Now the support ultimates starting to come online, and Sushi Roll's the big one to watch. The Transcendence comes out, but not in time to save the mech.
That's a big problem. The mech goes down. Ego now in baby form as the Genji. Nice shot from COWZA. Finds the headshot onto Goku, who just ticked over pretty much towards his ulti. So that's unfortunate. Not able to land a shot on the Widowmaker. Oh, Fable! He never looked like he was in that, and he just popped a shot on the man. But Super BH does eventually track them down and get that kill. Ego not really with enough backup to try and force something out here. He has to self-destruct, but he's going to have to back up and wait for his team. Goku might go down here right at the end as well. No, will get saved. But this is a big problem for Freaky. Marvel Rivals here. It's good for us because we might end up going to a 2-1. I mean, a 1-1.
if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Super BH has died in this match
Yes.
right now, in this defense, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of big right now. Now you got 4 ultimates that you're going into. Transcendence already, just Nova Queen's got to stay nice and safe, but otherwise, it's all up to Marvel Rivals to try and get around this difficult corner. Goku decides to go aggressive, gets the nano boost, pulls out the blade, immediately countered by the Transcendence, but that's not a big enough circle. There's people outside of it, and Goku's going to find every one of them. Now can come off, finish off that kill. Super BH not long for the life afterwards, but Goku found the niche. He found the chink in the armor.
Oh my god, this is Marvel's Rivals shit right here, Altruism, I'll be honest with you. When you put the white circle on the ground, stand in it. The green circle on the ground, stand in it. The purple smoke on the ground, Altruism, stand in it. Transcendence, stand in it, please. It'll keep you alive. But Goku just found these targets outside the trance, 2 shots them down, and that's it. Team fight over. So Super BH, there's his first death, Altruism. He's definitely not had an invincible game any longer, and now Freaky, or Marvel's Rivals rather, are going to start pushing towards that second point. But Freaky will still feel confident in the ability to full hold here, or hold second point.
Yeah, they've had to put out that wall, the window, but it didn't really get anything. Still the picks from the side. Sushi Roll poking out of these cheeky little angles, so close to actually confirming a couple of kills, but Nova Queen's trying to do the same on the other side. Sushi Roll still in ownership of that big Transcendence ultimate, so they can use it at any stage. They're going to drop it right now, combined with the railgun. This is where Marvel Rivals, they don't want to get stopped out on the top here. We've seen that too many times today. Instead, they're just going to win the fights with everything that they've got and force Freaky to make a desperate recontest.
Yeah, what are you scared of here as a Zen on the other team in terms of ultimates? Nothing, right? From the perspective of Marvel's Rivals. So you can use that ult very aggressively, and Sushi was very adept at doing that there, just helping force them through, secure that team fight. Super BH will get the toucher. He's coming up to his ulti. This will be a pretty significant hold, especially as they take down Sushi Roll.
Now you drop in the rail gun, the overclocked comes out from the Sojin, going to confirm that the attention of Super BH was on Goku already. Fable going to fall late into the fight, so the stall was there. After your Transcendence, after your Dragon Blades, none of it matters, Marvel Rivals. You've still only got 90 seconds to confirm this last point.
Really, really solid stuff there from Super BH. Kind of put the team on his back, rounding that corner and executing the enemy Zenyatta. And great work from Chloe Can Play. We haven't talked much about Chloe, but she was very, very good in that team fight. Picked up a couple of kills with the overcharge. They've got the ultimate now, Super BH. He's got the Gravitic Flux. They're only really fighting. Ooh, there's actually quite a few ultimates coming up. If they take a quick team fight, this might be good. But they've got the Trance Nova Queen to counter out the Nano Blade, although maybe not, like we saw before. Oh, what a sleep.
Another sleep out of the air. Super BH doesn't manage to get anything, but at least turns it into 1 support kill. Trying for 2 right now. Fortunately, on the back line, the Nanoblade's going out. Do not go outside the Transcendence!
Oh my god, guys. Come on, man. I mean, we've all been there, right? And the instinct is obvious. Make space between yourself and the enemy Genji, and so you can shoot them. But I'm sure Nova Queen is pulling her hair out right now because she's had Trance perfectly chambered, ready to fire, fires it off, and the team scatters like ants all over the map.
You see the kill feed just lights up with your teammates going, I did it, I did my job. Oh, heartbreak there, but Marvel Rivals, they breathe a sigh of relief. They've gotten past checkpoint 2, and they don't even need to get it all the way. Only a minute 30 still at 90-second breakpoints. Jace, can you get up a big window? Control this high ground right now. Find the pick onto Fable, and he wins the duel. Still taking out the other side. Goku's managed to turn Q-Wub's fire shots against them. So a 4v4 to head round to one of the most dangerous corners in the game.
Let's see if they can get through. The previous team did not manage to do that very effectively. Big anti-heal on the backline here, but no follow-up forthcoming. Window up, ready to go defensively here on the front line. Freaky holding firm for the time being, but great flex back from Marvel's Rivals. They look to come forward now, and they get that opening kill. Fable finds Chloe Can Play. A lot of damage getting put out as well. Super BH doing his best to stand firm here on the front line and doing a great job of it as well, but there's pressure from the high ground. The overcharge Jace taken down once again. Fable putting on a super performance at the moment.
Oh, doesn't manage to shut down the high noon in time, though, so that one going to be just denied out. I don't think that was by the Diva this Matrix, surprisingly enough, but Eva goes in a bit too aggressive, out of the range of the Transcendence. Now you put Zenyatta into a dangerous spot, gonna pay with their life. Super BH topped up nicely. Nanoboo's thrown late here. Marvel's Rivals have to do it here and now, and they've got it on the hands of Goku. Goku trying to build up that ultimate desperately, does manage to get it up, still alive, gets shut down immediately afterwards. It was a bit of an explosion kill. Still, there's enough Marvel's Rivals here to pose a bit of a threat. He goes there, has got the self-destruct as well if needs be. I don't know if Freaky can touch this. They're getting the spawn advantage. They've got the Transcendence onto the point. It's going to give them all the time to get back. And Marvel Rival, they need to reinforce quickly.
Oh, they didn't touch.
9.
What? It's right there. We can all see it.
That was right on the point.
Was on the point. Oh, I'd be feeling so hard done by if I was Freaky there. Felt like they had that fight not under control, but with the Transcendence, they had the tools to try and win that back. Goku, very good. Let's watch the Transcendence here. No, this is in this last fight here. Got the Nano, pulls out the blade, picks up 1, picks up 2, picks up 3. Great work from Goku. He was very, very good on the Genji, and the blades were finding pay dirt pretty much every time you use them through Transcendence, even Altruism. How good does he have to be to get that done? But we got a game on our hands, if nothing else, Altruism. But I think Freaky will be frustrated with Marvel's Rivals. No, Freaky will be frustrated with how that ended. I think they had control of that team fight. Super BH got a couple of key picks, but that Nano onto Goku, the damage, and then the blade got counted out in the end. But that kill onto Super BH, I think, in that last fight was what won it for Marvel's Rivals.
Yeah, there were key little picks here or there, you know, take out Nova when she's got a Transcendence ready, or be able to get into the back lines. You know, a key pick onto someone like Super BH where he just overstays it for half a second too long. Even the Widow Jewel kind of alludes to that same storyline. Key picks lead to the rest of the fight kind of falling apart. You're down on the resources, you're down on the angle coverage. So well played by both teams. Still an intense fight all the way to the last literal second. Absolutely loving it right now. Marvel's Rivals, they had a hard start to the day, but they look to be finishing off stronger.
Wow. I'm watching the stream on my second monitor here. There must have been centimeters between the Zen and being able to contest that.
Right?
Even through the replay, I'm like, I don't know. He looked pretty on it there. But unfortunately, that is going to be it for them. Of course, they still have one game left. We are going to move through now to Cervasa. But you kind of called it, Altruism, when you said Super BH will probably feel a lot more comfortable on more direct or linear maps when compared to something like the Control map, where the chaos tends to reign supreme. He is a player who can thrive in that, but it doesn't seem like his team is able to thrive in that same capacity or on the same page as him, at least on those maps. But on Circuit Royale, they looked a lot more put together, and it was just one team fight difference at the end. 1 centimeter of player movement difference, it felt like, right at the end of that pushed it in Marvel's Rivals' favors. But we're going to move to Cervasa, another map that can end up being a little bit chaotic, but you've got an opportunity to set fights up on your own terms. So hopefully Super BH and the rest of Freaky can bring us to a game 4.
You know, this is also a map that offers a lot of diversity in terms of what you can bring out. And Super BH, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pull out something like a Mauga at some stage. You know, run onto the point. Yeah, okay, you got a defense matrix, but it's only going to last so long, and I'm going to survive through it. So I'm just going to wait that out, burn it down, and literally burn it down. So something like that, even a Wrecking Ball, you know, there's a lot of
doesn't he play Ram? Wasn't that his claim to fame? Wouldn't that be great here? I feel
that would be pretty good.
Yeah. So, you're right. Maybe it's time to switch things up. He was very much playing to meta on that map. And look, we're singling him out because he's a superstar, right? And we know how good he can be. So whenever he's getting shut down, you start to ask questions of why that is. What is he doing? What is his team doing? Why is he not having the success we see him normally have? So that's why we're fixating on him. Like with Terran Lord in the past, we know how good they are. So what is not working? And again, I don't think he's making mistakes necessarily. The occasional overextension notwithstanding, like we saw in that last fight where he got exploded by the Genji. He was a little bit too far forward, looking to clean up some kills in at far range, and he kind of isolated himself. But I think he's playing fine. I think, like I said with Terran Lord earlier, the question you have to ask yourself as a tank player is, how can I enable my team to do more? You know, even if I feel like I'm doing everything, why are they not? What's not working for them? Is the answer they're just bad? Because that doesn't seem likely, and that's not useful, obviously, generally. But also in a competition like this, a player of his skill, of his rank, is always going to be put up with players of lesser rank. And so his big task is going to be, how do I marshal these players in such a way that we can maximize our results? So that's the question I think he has to face himself. And I think if I'm him, I'm like, put all your attention on me, Give me all the resources. Let me play like Salmon. I can do what he does just as well. Let me do it.
It might be also the question of, is the backline free to give you all the resources? Maybe there's people like Goku who are diving in on the Genji and making life miserable for the support. So it's sometimes the tank is not just going, okay, guys, make me stronger. It's also like you said, what is the best for the team? What do they need to succeed? And sometimes it's a quick glance backwards. So we'll see. BH would love to come in here. He is certainly capable of running that one on against the opponents. But I got to point out, Ego on the other side has been doing a pretty stellar job. I was impressed earlier, and it's going toe-to-toe right now.
Yeah, being very, very... He's been good on the D.Va. Clearly a hero he's very comfortable of, understands the limits very well, and is using it effectively, both in aggression and in defense. That's something you kind of keep an eye out with D.Vas. There's different ways to play D.Va. The main tanks from Overwatch 1 play D.Va like Winston. The main tanks, the off tanks from Overwatch 1 play D.Va like D.Va, right? So they play D.Va like a peeling tank who can be in. He's like a midfielder in football. I can attack, I can defend, I can do everything I need to, and I can maximize the effectiveness of the team. Or I can play like a Winston, which is I can pounce and execute. Ego's been very good at jumping between those two roles. So I suspect an Overwatch 1 off tank player.
And comboing so nicely with the other two, with Goku, with Fable, always there to execute, or a big anti-heal grenade. I mean, that's a pretty good start, but Ego doesn't manage to get anything. Fable does confirm something, and somehow they all stay alive. The support's coming out there. Risen starting it off with the anti-heal, and then just dancing around, keeping everyone topped up. Freaky's now in a bit of a difficult situation. No one going to point just yet. Someone who might want to take 3 steps. Fable actually going to be the one to press the issue and turn the attention. Freaky is doing a remarkable job of staying alive, though, considering their start. They have an ultimate already? Are you mad?
That's why they call him Superb H, Altruism, because he is very, very good. I remember playing with him on this map as a tracer when he was Junker Queen, and we dominated. It was actually, I felt bad for the enemy team, and that anybody who knows me knows I'm absolutely dog water at tracer. So he was doing all the heavy lifting, and he's an absolute monster on this map with this hero. So it shocks me 0% that he's able to build up ulti that quick and dominate.
Madness. A couple of other ultimates also close to ripening right now. Risen and Sushi Roll, 2 defensive ultimates here for Marvel Rivals when they do decide to engage, and could even start off with an aggressive nano booster. Right now they're trying to get there goes the D.Va in, but immediately demect. You don't get anything out of it. The Juno able to peel for the rest of the support. Super BH just says, you go deal with that. I'll separate out and make sure that there's no one else incoming, and I'll chase them to the ends of the earth if needs be. But Freaky survive after that dive, but Marvel Rivals drop nothing.
Yeah, that was perfect. They shut down the D.Va dive, and that's kind of what you want to do as a D.Va, is you want to wait, and pounce on something that's low or isolated. You try to do that there, but the response was perfect from Marvel's Rivals. The peel was excellent, and they shut down Ego's D.Va. And if they can keep doing that, they'll have an easy time to the rest of Survasa.
Oh, they do try and contest the end of the points. We seem to have lost game feed, but not sure if they did manage to touch that. Overwatch has crashed.
All right. Well, somebody contact the teams and tell them to pause the game quickly, because that was holding up to be quite the interesting match. Of course, Freaky down 0-2 at the moment. They need to win this one out. And like I said, I feel like Super BH can feel untouchable on that map on Junker Queen if he gets his way. And they were doing an excellent job of blunting the attack that Ego represented. But with ultimates coming out, it could have been... It can go either way, that first point.
And it would be interesting to see who dumped the ultimates into that first point. You know, it was so close to the edge anyway. Did one team waste everything and now give the advantage to the other team at the second point? You know, do you just back up and everyone saves it? A really bad time to pause there, but we'll be back into that match as soon as possible. Because like you say, it looks like a different game. It looks like a different team that's come out from Freaky. They have been able to just rebuff everything. They're reading the movements of their opponents and keeping each other alive through a pretty close encounter, let's say. Ego did nearly confirm both of the supports, but just stay alive.
Yeah, we'll have to see it. I mean, again, it's worth pointing out that despite the scoreline, Circuit Royale was extremely evenly matched. So I'm excited to see. I think we're ready to hop back in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Whenever. So I'm good to go. But I'm always fascinated. It feels like we've taken a step away from the game now, and time will have passed, and who's where.
Okay.
So it is still first point somehow.
So they paused pretty quickly, it seemed, after that. No ultimates are really going out there. Sushi Roll did drop the beat, so not going to have that available if Q-Wove or Chloe can play or want to try and get aggressive. And aggressive is the name of the game here for Freaky. They managed to get point number one, and I think they're going to be happy that they didn't need to put anything else into that fight.
Yeah, we missed about 60% of Blue's build, so we missed a decent chunk of that. But look at the Freaky war chest here. 5 ultimates ready to go, pretty much. They'll feel pretty bad about losing this team fight if they do, but we've seen it before. We saw Apricornicus and the rest of Tank lose a team fight when they had all the ultimates available. So ultimates win you games, but execution wins you games more, and we'll have to wait and see if they can get the job done. But here comes the Rampage.
Oh, it was in counter to the big anti-heal grenade on the other side. Unfortunately for Marvel Rivals, they just don't have as much to throw into this fight. They've dropped as much as they can. They've forced out 3 big ults on the other side for just the price of Ego. But I actually don't feel like Marvel Rivals going to be unhappy with how that fight ended up paying off.
I think one too many ultimates in that team fight. I think maybe if Jace holds on to the orbital ray, you'd probably be like, that was a perfect team fight from Freaky. But they've still got plenty to work with here to win another team fight. They need to just watch out for Goku's ultimate, but they've got the Kitsune Rush to try and counter that out in some capacity. No nano boost to amplify Goku's efficacy either, but Fatal's just going to execute no matter what. And only the other support.
Oh, both supports down. That's the most devastating thing for Freaky. They're gonna. I don't think they want to drop any of the ultimates into it. No, they decide to head for the hills. Marvel Rival is going to claim that as basically a free fight. Fable only want to invest anything, but what a great start for them, and they're going to be able to get their percentage up.
I mean, that was absolutely perfect from Fable. You execute the Kiriko, you pulse bomb the other one, and the team fight ends. Super BH, though, Sushi Roll, second time being caught a little bit too aggressive, and now they can move forward here with ultis at the ready, overcharge, ready to go. They push forward with Kitsune Rush, clear the point. Need to be careful. Eco loses his ultimate, he loses his Ego rather, and that's going to be it here. A lot of Dragon Ball Z shit going on here, Altruism. Ego, Ultra Ego, Vegeta's newest form, and Goku. From, I don't know if you know who Goku is, Altruism is pretty famous.
I've heard of him. He's the guy with the orange, right? Yeah,
the orange, exactly. You got it. So a lot of Dragon Ball Z imagery going on here.
I like it. I don't know Ego that well. I mean, that's just an abstract philosophical concept. But yeah, sure, we'll go with it. Ricky needs to come in right now, or at least they've got this. They've got 99%. Sushi Roll comes in with the early beats to try and set something up. Goku pops an ultimate, and 2 kills come out there. Goku. The only a single kill to their name, so certainly not the same level of desperation thrown into this fight. Execution, a bit of a confirmation, cheeky shot from Super BH gives Freaky their second point and 1 away from starting a counterattack.
Yeah, they need to perform the reverse sweep here, the fabled reverse sweep, if you will, Altruism, if they're going to take this one in their favor. But this is how you start off doing it, and they've looked dominant on this map type so far. Super BH so good on that, but more than that, the supports have been great at flexing and peeling for each other and countering out Ego to the point where he's now feeling like, I'm not getting the value I need to on the Diva. Instead now, moving on to the Zarya. We know how good this hero can be. We saw Apricornicus use it very well. Well, he's got a bunch of charge now. I was just about to say, if he didn't get charged, a huge anti-heal is the follow-up there. Yes, it is. Of course it is. But it's an even fight so far.
Pretty even. The tank going down is going to be the big play, and It is Super BH who stands victorious. Lone Juno trying desperately. He still gets a knife. I swear that hit the edge. There's no way.
Hello. Can I get a replay of that? I want a replay of that, and I want a replay of the Zen contest in the previous map, because that knife hit the ground right in front of him on my screen. But clearly he saw something else. Really, really solid play, but credit has to go to Risen it was, who threw in a huge anti-nade there to set up that fight for Freaky. Sorry, not Risen. Yeah, it was Risen. I think he switched. No?
No, it was Super BH's ultimate. Goes through everyone, and they all just crumble after that. Now, bit of a poke fest. Ego wanting to get up a bit of charge through here. Everyone poking from different angles. Oh, Genji's in a dangerous position. Beam's not going to help you, or at least the Beam's going to make a problem. Sushi, though, just doesn't get the height right. Bays with their life at the beginning of this, and now it's up to Freaky. They can get more aggressive. They've got Nova Queen's ultimate if they want, but they don't need to. They want to get another pick. That's going to confirm it for them. Fable goes down late into the fight, and Marvel Rivals basically have to give up this entire point now as a result.
They can't, though. They need a win here if they're going to stay in the map, because this is the last point for them. Big grab, 100% charge, but forced back to reload. Is the damage there? I don't think it is. Super BH, he's got the damage instead. Now coming forward, looking to clean up the back line. Chloe can play, has the ultimate, has the nano boot, has 2 kills, and has 1 on the board for Freaky.
Well, Freaky showed a completely different mentality, and it was, okay, we're going to fight you. Super BH goes to the most aggressive tank that they can and stays alive forever, pretty independently as well. Gives the freedom for the supports to just heal for each other.
The knife, right? It should be in this replay.
It was credited as a knife kill, but I think it was just like a bleed or something going out there. That knife did not hit. Okay, we both saw the same thing.
Yeah.
Really nice showing, though, from Freaky. Very nice showing.
Completely different look from them, as you say. I think it comes down to Super BH on the Junker Queen. I pointed that out right at the start. He is a monster on that hero, and he was able to exert himself on the match, and it pulled a lot of attention away from the it pulled a lot of attention away from his backline, A, and B, it isolated Ego a lot of the time. So even if Ego wasn't fighting Super BH, Ego was backline was dealing with Super BH, or trying to at least. And
Ego was dying to everyone else who was left, right?
Exactly, because he wasn't getting the support from his own backline, because they were busy getting blended by Super BH on the Junker Queen. So yeah, that was perfect for them. I hope they can convert this into the same kind of performances on the upcoming maps, because this seems to be something that will work better for them, because it just takes pressure off the likes of Chloe can play as well. She's got more time on the Sojourn to pick targets and take them down, and she can deal with Ego very well on that hero as well, if she's got a little bit of room to work with. So I hope that this is a turning point for Freaky. If nothing else, then so we can move towards that game number 5.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I kind of don't want to stop the action right now. I think everyone's in the zone. We can keep going. We should be taking a break at this stage. But this is too exciting. These guys are really in it. Freaky's offering up the opportunity for the reverse sweep, and still Marvel's Rivals has looked consistently good. That was last map aside. This is still really good, and we go now to Hollywood. So something maybe a little bit more difficult for the Junker Queen to be executed on.
I think if they can get through that first point, Junker Queen's pretty good after that, right? I think that breaking through that first point can be a bit rough with the Queen, but on the streets phase, you've got a lot more room to work with. You can bend and push a lot more easily. Of course, her biggest problem is that she's not great against the high ground, so the streets phase can be a little bit troublesome for her, but we'll have to wait and see. But you know who's good everywhere? The Ramatra. So why don't you just play the Ramatra? I don't understand why he's so scared of playing what we thought was his strongest hero for the longest time, right? So we'll have to wait and see. And from the side of Marvel's Rivals, I think just make sure you can keep Ego healthy. He is absolutely able to make space for you to get kills if he needs to, but try and see if we can keep him healthy, because the pressures is not coming. That's the other thing, is that QWAV on the Genji as well was a big problem to handle as well. So it seems like the winning condition here throughout the day, Altruism, has been put pressure on the enemy backline. If you do that, your chances of winning drastically go up.
And anyone who from the back lines can kind of slip away and rejoin their tank offers a lot towards their sustainability while they're diving. So, if Super BH is in Marvel Rivals back line, if someone like Sushi Roll or Risen is able to peel away from that and then start getting the Risen Anna shots in, it'll keep Ego alive for a lot longer and make it more difficult. But like you say, again, with COWZA also following up, anyone who peels away is now Genji food. So really it's just Blades Ahoy. And Super BH decides to go for the Reinhardt. You know what? I dig it. I dig it.
He's got Jace as well on the Juno, so he's got the speed. That's the first thing you look for when you have a Reinhardt in the game. But I kind of like this because what it is it's an opportunity for him to assert himself on the game, right? To be a problem that Marvel's rivals need to deal with. D.Va is decent against Ryan because she can just ignore him and avoid him. But if she goes into his operating zone, she struggles against him. So, whoa, Super BH, bro, slow down. Yeah, Super BH is funny like that. He's got 4 teammates, but he'd rather do it all by himself.
That was the longest Ryan rollout I've seen on this map. I didn't realize you could get all the way around the corner. I needed to do more of the parkour maps or something, but certainly showing up and saying, right, you're dealing with the Reinhardt, and Fable goes, that's fine, your shield's not up. I got a good clear shot. Chloe can play, going to be the victim of it, and they got to just wait out right now because that's so much of their poke.
Yeah, look, 35, 40 seconds burnt off the clock, and they haven't even attempted a team fight yet, Altruism, so I'm not sure what the go signal is here. Obviously, they need to be 5 before they go through, but it looks like they want to punch through here, but there are not a lot of targets for them to get out on top of here. Look how spread out the Marvel's Rivals defense is, and they go through now. Can they find any picks?
Yes, a big shooting gallery comes out there. COWZA, though, a little bit too aggressive. Super BH tries to secure the point, gets rid of Goku, and systematically Freaky, they went onto the point. They each spread out into their designated zones and cleared them like a SWAT team. Marvel Rivals desperately trying to come back in with something right now. COWZA going to be very content with that ultimate charge that they're going to get. So D-Mech goes out right now. Super BH overextends a little bit, but creates the space that's needed to secure first point at least.
Yeah, tactical feed is what we call that in Dota 2. That was perfect from them. You called it perfectly when you said they kind of spread out like a SWAT team. They all had targets. They'd read their briefing beforehand and the dossiers and all the enemies, and they pounced perfectly to get all the kills they needed to, in spite of the fact that they weren't even running a dive tank. So that was really, really perfect execution from Freaky, a team, it's worth remembering, that has not put in a ton of time in scrims, given that they were only put together like yesterday.
Pretty good job then. That's impressive when you've got all these individual players who can do it. Risen nearly claims COWZA on that Goku, on that Genji. Instead, the charge comes through, slips away at the last second. Really would love to get this Anna, but goes a bit too far around the corner. Got some space for Chloe can play though, and Chloe can, unfortunately. Getting taken down at the end of this fight leaves Freaky with diminished number of players and certainly not the big damage that they need to burst through this mech, especially with a support behind. Actually, Ego support. Okay, there we go. There's the Harmony Orb.
He looked around frantically for some healing, and thankfully Sushi Roll cornered just in time to give him what he was looking for. But yeah, really, just a little bit of over-aggression there from the Freaky guys. Super BH finding himself isolated away from his supports of his own volition, basically. He wasn't forced into that position. He's going to move forward now. He's got the team as his back, a nice ring, and give him the speed to try and look for a shatter. But this is a hard game to find a huge shatter on. The enemy team is so spread. Marvel Rivals doing a good job of using the strengths and mobility of their composition to stay out of the Reinhardt's zone of influence, but the Reinhardt has a big zone of influence when he can do that.
Okay, Nano Boost goes out, mitigated by the shadow, but there was no damage. Everyone again was too far back, and Super BH gets a bit of a stalemate in terms of, okay, now what? And has to just pay with their life. Everyone else from Freaky going to fall just as well afterwards, and you can see Super BH has realized that the Ryan's not working. He's going for that monkey.
I was about to call the monkey switch there. I think it's a much better pick here. Controlling the high ground, the Rhino's getting kited too much, and he has to commit too strongly to get any sort of purchase in the team fights. So it's a good switch here. They still got a lot of ultis, but Jace, unfortunately, he used the nano booster. I'm not sure on who in that previous team fight, but they don't have it now for the Blade. No defensive ults just yet. Sneaky play from the Ninja, trying to force that point in a little bit, but he pays with his life, COWZA.
Yeah, QO just tried for that play, but needed a smoke bomb or something. Blizzard developers, please get on it right now. We need a smoke bomb for Genji to get out of those.
Marvel's rivals, am I right?
Goku, though, another Genji put under dire pressure right there when he just gets out. Super BH also has to retreat, and rooftops become a bit of a stalemate. Marvel Rivals doesn't have the ability to reinforce them as easily. They got a good off angle with Fable and the Sojourn, but otherwise they can't really jump up, and now it's Freaky going to initiate on. They've got the Genji blade out, but kind of having to hide around the corner. Would love to dive in there. Realizes Transcendence has popped in. That's maybe why they hesitated for just a second, but right now it's Marvel Rivals. They're the ones turning on the heat. Super BH wants to get something done. Tries to take out the Ana. Does juggle it perfectly. Doesn't have a lot of people left on the point. Tries to get back for the last remaining support. Jace goes down, and Super BH gonna be at least consoled by the fact that Fable dropped the ult at the end.
He will, but they're struggling. This is exactly the problem they were running into on the control maps, where they just don't have the synergy or the follow-up to really amplify Super BH's efficacy. It feels like he's going in, doing damage. He's not able to find picks because the backup's not quite there. And it's hard for him to really assert himself on proceedings, and that's when they do best, is when he can do that. But this point is so hard to play on if you don't have mobility. So he has to play this hero. He has to play Winston, Diva, something like that. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to play into Marvel Rivals' lineup.
Trying to cross the bridge now. The Chloe can play ultimate gets shut down, and Fable is proving to be too good. Ego gets booped off the roof, so doesn't get to use the last bit of that nano boost, and instead, Goku going to be the one to try jump on. Winston's not the target you really want to be going for. 4 HP. Fable will come through with the double kill to confirm the victory for Marvel's Rivals. And once more, Freaky rebuff. This could be the end, and Marvel's Rivals secure themselves that upper bracket spot.
Well, they still have to defend, so there's still plenty of...
Okay, right, sorry. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself there.
Freaky, they need a... It's really tough here. If Super BH can get this ulti, there's a chance. But Ego, he's got the second life. They're fighting in... Fable already almost has another overcharger, and he's been so good with that. They're just not hooking up on the dive, the Genji and the Monkey. But now they get aggressive on the high ground, force them back. Somebody will be on point here to keep the game going, but they need to find picks.
Right now, Freaky's doing a good job of at least corralling their opponents. Not when Q-Wub, though, goes into the center. It's an optimistic Diva Bomb over the top. Not sure it's going to pick up anything. Instead, it uses the Transcendence to get onto point. The anti-heal's too much, though. Ego somehow manages to get out of that on top of it. Point, though, Super BH, you got to worry. There's a rally there to stabilize for a long time, and that Brick's going to have to survive against 3 players. Eventually, Super BH does come back, but to find no support left alive. Marvel Rivals stabilize and they hold point 2.
Yeah, Marvel Rivals is so much better at this kind of play style where you split the map up. I think a big difference between these two teams is Fable is dominating on that Sojourn. He's finding every opportunity he's given to do damage and secure eliminations. He's taking them with both hands, whereas Chloe is not having quite the same effect on the other side, and it's kind of creating the situation where you feel like you want to put pressure on the enemy Sojourn, but she's a hard hero to get on top of, right? With that slide, she can just bail, right? And on top of that, the supports are not feeling enough pressure on Marvel's Rivals from the Freaky DPS. So they're able to just comfortably keep anybody who is dived by Super BH comfortably alive. And everybody else is kind of just getting picked off slowly but surely over the course of these drawn-out team fights by the Sojourn. And that's not even talking about Ego, who's wreaking havoc in Freaky's own backline. So it's hard to execute. Marvel Rivals are just so much better than Freaky at this kind of composition, but that map, you don't have as many options for how you can approach things, and I would like to have seen them go back to something like the Junker Queen or the Ramatra. It's not the best, but if you can get on high ground, you can speed across that bridge and you can control that high ground. You've got a little bit more options to work with at that point, I think, especially when we see that the dive isn't really working.
Well, dive seems to still be the name of the game. Try get on the back line and kill as many people as possible early into the fight. Freaky going to be bringing out the hazard. To try and accomplish that. Again, really nice burst potential. And Q-Wov, haven't seen the Echo yet today, but certainly a hero that has the capabilities to just finish off and confirm some great kills from safer angles. And I have to be careful about Fable, though, who has been doing so much work here on the Sojourn that you talked about. Has got the rail shot off there. Oh, nearly confirms it with the kill, but QWOV does go down, and Super BH now needs to be careful, needs to get out. Does at least have the health pack behind him and the teammates to support and sustain for as long they need to contest this point.
Ooh, nice rock there, kind of separating them up, but isolated a bit now. A good pro heal, if you will, to keep up, but the anti-heal comes through, and Super BH taken out here. Kind of feels like a Hail Mary that has it, Altruism. I don't know if you agree with me. That Super BH is like, I'm out of ideas, and I guess I'll try this and see if I can make something crazy happen. But this man right here, Fable, he's been a standout for this team on this map, on that hero. Like I said, I think he's the difference between the two teams right now.
Yep, Fable's been a spectacular. You know, Cheetos was touting their praise earlier, saying how good they were. And, again, with the roster of heroes that you can play into this time with that Sojourn, just puts constant pressure from every angle. The one-shot capabilities, it's been big. I mean, the closest one to Ultimate at the end of that fight. The rest of Marvel Rivals not too far behind, and pretty content to now fight out this rooftops. I mean, they did a good job of it when they were on the defensive side.
It did indeed. Super BH gets aggro there, forces out the anti-heal, and is not likely to take any damage. Hello? Game? Let me climb the thing, please. Unfortunately, not able to get up there. Now his team is in a heap of trouble here, hiding out in the corner behind a Brigitte shield. That's what you're gonna be, but they have to make the Diva here. Can they find the kill? No, they can't. Yes, they can. QWOV gets that kill on the Echo, and we'll back up now. All Super BH isolated, though, taken down, but they should have the numbers here if they can secure the kill on Freaky.
Super BH goes down, and you don't want to lose your tank, but that's into the hands of the tank going down on the other side. Marvel Rivals decides that they're going to be bringing their own separate tank. Risen with a massive anti-heal, confirms 2, and while Sushiro has to give up that baton now to the Diva, actually the tank that wants to be here on point. Freaky, they just need to regroup.
Yeah, and they're doing that now. They've got the downpour ready to go. They've got Rally, they've got Nano Boost, they've got tools to work with here. But if this fight gets drawn out, Goku will have that blade, and there's no obvious counter on the other side. So that could be a game-ending ultimate here if they do get it out, but it might not matter. Here comes the downpour.
Downpour, but everyone's out of range. The kiting continues here from Marvel Rivals. They come out completely unscathed. The desperate attempt for some shield blocking, but Ego decides, I'm not interested in you. I'm going for the Echo. Gets themselves out of position, and the Scythe start unleashing havoc on the field, but eventually everyone just tucked away. It was not enough out of that ultimate for Freaky to be feeling confident. Super BH has to get back to the relative safety of the support. Is slowly being healed up. We've still got up that really nice rally, but hasn't turned around fast enough. Goku's in the back line. Does eventually get shut down. So players on the board here for Freaky to try and keep this alive. But they don't have the tank. They don't have the sustain. There's no one logically who could stand on payload. Everyone trying to take their own battles. The payload crosses the mark. Marvel's Rivals takes this. Freaky looks to be doing the impossible and giving us the reverse sweep. Marvel's Rivals going to get that ever-coveted top upper bracket spot. And all on the hands of Fable. You got it. You were saying it the whole time there.
Yeah,
son.
Absolutely. I think Fable... he was great the whole series, but this was the map where he kind of showed us that he is the difference between these two teams. When Marvel's Rivals is doing well, when Marvel's Rivals is doing poorly, it's off the back of Fable not being able to execute on his game plan. And when they're doing well, Fable has space to work with, and that's kind of a big part of their success here, I think. And credit where it's due, Freaky. When they had the map in their zone, when they had the map that kind of worked with what they excel at strategically and stylistically, they were able to dominate. Tell me that Freaky team from Servus is the same team from the Freaky team on Hollywood, and it's kind of hard to believe. So, yeah, it's unfortunate that they couldn't execute on that. It's a hard comp to execute the dive when you don't have the synergy from a lot of time playing together and a lot of time working together, and the teams that do it best are the teams where the tank and the DPS are duo together. They come into the Talon Cup duo together. That's what we saw with Apricornicus and Solaris. So really, really impressive stuff. from Marvel's rivals. Unfortunately for Freaky, they'll have to try and work through the lower bracket, but they've got the skill as a unit, and they've got the stars on the team now to try and make a decent run.
Yep, I think you're right. You know, if that last map had been something like a push map instead of, they would have had a much better chance to go
Even
through
a different
there. So,
hybrid, like a King's Row, for example. I think they probably do way better on that map.
yeah, a tough map, but I guess that's why your opponents pick it, right? Marvel's rivals having that awareness of where their strengths lie and forcing their opponents into a dive, something that I don't think is in Super BH's typical wheelhouse. You know, he prefers the toe-to-toe swing whatever weapons you've got at me. And so the dive is a little bit just not where they should be putting their focus. Maybe they can learn from today. Like you said, they haven't spent a lot of time scrimming. So it was a tough lesson for them. They didn't manage to pick up a game today, did Freaky. But tomorrow's a new day and still some very good players on that roster. So we'll have to see them. Final standings for the day, Sun Phoenix. And then, actually, do you want to do an MVP vote first, right?
Sure.
I think this one is a pretty cut and dry one as well.
I think there's a few players you could make an argument for. I think Ego played really, really well on the Diva. He's kind of a linchpin around which this team operates a lot of the time, and when he's failing, the team is failing. We saw that most obviously on Survasa. Sushi Roll, I think, stood out in a big way as well. Looked very, very good on the Zenyatta, on the Kiriko as well.
And Risen actually on the Ana. Those two did very well. There were some nice anti-heals. There were some good sleeps. Yep.
Sushi on the Brigitte as well on the first map, booping the Winston all over the place. Yeah. Really, really good stuff from the backline. But I'm just going to go to the guy, the main man with the rail gun. It is going to be Fable. I think he stood out in a big way and kind of put the nail in the coffin there at the end for Freaky with the Sojourn on Hollywood. He really just stood out in a big way, and it was the fact that he was a threat that needed to be dealt with, whereas Chloe wasn't able to find that same power through her own Sojourn that I think separated the two teams in this match.
Fable, really good player. I'm very excited to see them carrying on and really hope that they are getting to work with players who have got so much experience. You know, when I look at Fable's done a great job and having people like Risen, Sushi Roll to go and chat to. I mean, these are players with maybe a team. You know, Fable kind of like slots in. The Risen and Sushi Roll are not sitting in the indomitable Inglorious Blasters. They're more approachable teams to kind of get your foray into the scene. So I really do hope connections come out at the end of this.
Yeah.
And we have come to the end of the day, though, so it would be remiss of us to not give you an update to the final standings. We said at the beginning of the day, this was just groups. And the top two from each group do go through. So Tank, very clean 3-0. Team 1, we saw them first, we were impressed. Then Tank came out and showed why they deserve to get that top-seeded position for tomorrow. So both of them heading into the upper bracket. Aura and Tokstarters a little bit more tough. I mean, they were the ones who started the day and gave us some really good fights to the death. Both of them find themselves now fighting for their lives in the lower bracket. On the other side, Arrivals, after their victory now, join Ange Fan Club, who also go through to the upper bracket. Freaky, the last ones to fill out our bottom three.
Yeah, I think you look at these teams and you think Tank looks a cut above everybody else right now, right? They look like Apricornicus and Solaris especially just look like absolute superstars as a frontline duo for that team. Team 1, I think they've got potential to beat everybody, including Tank. I think on a different day, if the games go differently, Team 1 can come out on top there. But I think there's a lot of... I think the three upper bracket teams that I'm looking at most are Tank, Team 1 and Ange Fan Club. I think they're three teams who could take games of each other, and I'm looking forward to seeing who comes out on top tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you've summed up that pretty well. We got to see every one of these teams and every one of the players, some gelling a little bit more than others, and some with some cute strategies that they've started to pull together, really showing how much work that they've put in. But guys, we won't keep you too much longer. It has been a long day. I'm really excited to see that upper bracket tomorrow. We're going to be starting at 12 o'clock with that lower bracket game 1, which is Freaky versus Tokstarter. Kickstarter? I think, yeah, I got that one right. On the other hand, we're going to join later on Tank versus Marvel's Rivals and Fan Club versus Team 1. Certainly going to be a tough day, I think, especially for the Rivals.
Yeah, it's that upper bracket looks pretty tough, right? You've got, I think, Group A, my sense is that they were stronger than Group B, and my sense is that Tank and 1 looked a cut above Engine and Rivals a little bit. So I'm fascinated to see. Look, we've been proven wrong already today in this long day we've had. 1 has already shown us that just because we think they're the best, any team is the best, that they can be humbled by someone else. So teams have got the evening to chill, to take a breath, to analyze what they've done and what works for them and what doesn't. We might see a few different approaches coming out tomorrow.
That's what I like to see. Maybe the Super BH Ram is just the pocket pick that they'll go
Ask
to.
him, bro. I know you chums with that guy, or you teach him at school or whatever. Ask him why he's not playing a match. Because I don't get it. I don't get it. He's not great. He's not the strongest hero at the moment, but it seemed like they were out of ideas. So why not throw it at
Why not, right? So we'll get to see all the imagination, all the innovation, and a couple of teams. Stalker's team comes to mind where they just played one composition the whole way and made it work. So we'll see how the quite dynamic competition shapes up as we crown our victors for the Talon Cup, the first broadcast of COWZA here in 2025. So great start so far for Overwatch and for esports in general. Really enjoying it. We hope you guys have as well. A lot of you have been here for basically the entirety of the day. Don't touch grass. I'm going to right now make a cup of coffee or something like that, but be up bright and early for us gamers. 12 o'clock tomorrow on this channel. We'll see you then. Bye.